Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Back at you with a new video. Today is Saturday, October 18th, 2025, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $, ORION-NWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the number 8 Oregon Ducks versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Kickoff is going to be here in about 5 to 10 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get ready for some Saturday Oregon Duck football. Let's get it. Happy Saturday, everyone. Today's matchup here this Saturday evening, the number 8 Oregon Ducks versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. 5-1, 2-1 in the Big Ten play for the Oregon Ducks, 3-3, 0-3 in the Big Ten for Rutgers. They did play UW, pretty fiercely, last weekend. So we'll see how it goes. And obviously with Oregon on the road, I would assume it'll be kind of similar to what we saw against Northwestern. Anytime you end up having a team, regardless if they're a powerhouse team, a top 5, top 10, top 25 team, or unranked, when you go into someone else's house, and again, we've never played Rutgers ever in our team history. It wouldn't surprise me that if we start a little bit slow in this matchup, and if we end up scoring, for example, 0 to 10 points in the first half, that wouldn't be too shocking to me. And again, if we can make the adjustments in the second half, unless we can get off to a really fast start is what I'm hoping for. If we get off to a fast start in the first half and we score, 14 to 20 points, then we should be sitting, in that 30 to, 44-ish range. But again, if it's 0 to 10 in the first half, then it might end up being a little bit lower score, or it might be like a 30-20 kind of game. At the end of the day, I do think the Ducks are going to be able to pull it off. But I do think Rutgers, even though they're 0-3 in Big Ten play, they're 3-3. And again, when we played Northwestern on the road, we definitely were a little sluggish, to start off in the first half. And Dan Lanning will make the proper adjustments in the second. And we'll kind of see how it plays off the rest of this Saturday evening. And then obviously the big win for the Seattle Mariners over the Toronto Blue Jays in the ALCS game number 5 that I did last night. So we're going to Toronto, and we will be live tomorrow around 5-ish for the Seattle Mariners versus the Toronto Blue Jays ALCS game number 6. And if the Seattle Mariners win, they go to the World Series for the very first time against the powerhouse Shohei Ohtani-led Los Angeles Dodgers. And if we lose tomorrow, then we would play on Monday, and then we would have to skip the Buccaneers and the Lions live stream because obviously Game 7 for the ALCS would be a little bit more important. But we do have a doubleheader on the NFL on Monday, so I'm hoping the Mariners will get the job done tomorrow. Ducks will get the job done today, and that'll give me an opportunity to see if the Bucks can get the job done against the Lions on Monday night. So definitely looking forward to these next 3 games, and it all starts here with the number 8 Oregon Ducks versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Sarah in the building, what's good? Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train, and we're looking for 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it. And I know we're going to be definitely hungry, after the loss to Indiana. And I was, talking to some close friends and, people that may not be watching, as closely as some of us, every single play, every single quarter, every single game. I kind of had a feeling that we would drop that game to Indiana. They're the only team in college football that was top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense, and top 10 in special teams. And again, we didn't run the ball effectively. And again, we did tie it up, in the 4th when we had that pick 6, and that was great. But they ended up scoring the last 10 points, and we didn't run the ball very efficiently at all, which was a shame. And a lot of the guys that we normally hand the ball off to, for whatever reason, didn't get touches. Like Hill is one of the best freshmen in the country at running back. And we know DeCorian Moore is amazing with Dante Moore. But again, we're a running first type of team. We have to run the football. play good defense, and then let the passing game open up. And I think a lot of times when people see Oregon, even in the Chip Kelly era and even now with Dan Lanning, they assume that we're throwing the football, nonstop. And again, there will be times where we get into a mode where we're going to throw it and we're going to sling it. But it all starts on the ground first. And then that opens up that passing game. And again, we have to play strong defense as well. So kind of like a similar mindset to like Michigan, when they ended up beating Washington, run the ball, play good defense. The difference is we got a quarterback that can sling it a little bit more than J.J. McCarthy for Michigan. They didn't really have any other choice to run the ball and play good defense. Oregon does. We have a choice. And again, they have to make sure they have a 50-50 game plan, 50% on the ground, 50% through the air, or pretty close. And if we can end up doing that, we should be able to make some good defensive plays, hopefully a pick six here and there, a fumble for a touchdown, a pick, a fumble, a couple deflections, and hopefully we can end up being victorious here. And I believe that we will be, but I do think there is a chance that the game could be a little bit lower scoring than anticipated. And don't be surprised if Oregon has minimal points, by halftime. I could see it go two different ways. We could be at 20 after the first half, or we could be at 0-10. And again, going on the road, when we played Northwestern, that was kind of a sign for me that, hey, no matter what the record of who you play, if you're going on the road, you always have to be in a position to think that things could go a little sideways early, and then Dan Lanning can correct the mistakes. So we'll see where it goes, but I hope everyone is having a fantastic day, and I'm definitely ready for this matchup here this Saturday afternoon. Let's go, baby. I think the thumbnail turned out all right. I did want to hop on a little bit earlier, but again, I am kind of a perfectionist with the thumbs and everything else. And, we never have played Rutgers before, so it's not like I had any Rutgers images, pre-saved. So I do apologize not being able to come in, a few minutes earlier. But again, the kickoff was supposed to be at 3:30. And then when I noticed they were going to delay it to, possibly 3:40, 3:45-ish, that gave me a little bit of comfort. But the little details, with the Ducks, they got the marble on the helmet. They're slick today. All white with the helmets, white jerseys, white shoes, white pants. It's a whiteout, and they are looking slick. And again, we've had different versions, of the all whites with the eggshell and whatnot, but I'm really digging the unis. And again, they just keep always being more creative. And again, it's all about, like Dion said back in the day, you look good, you feel good, you play good. And again, obviously we know that we have some of the top tier jerseys, obviously in college football. There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, it's not about the jerseys. It's not about the helmets and not about the shoes. It's about coming together and trying to win as many games as possible. Congratulations to Indiana. Fantastic team beating us last week. And again, it's always cool to be able to see new teams emerge, especially in a conference like the Big Ten that normally is about Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and then obviously Oregon and UW, and obviously USC and UCLA have joined the party in the Big Ten. But to be able to see other teams, at times, Iowa, Wisconsin, and others like Indiana, pretty cool to see. And here we go. Here is the kickoff. And that is going to be a touchback there. 65 yards, first down and 10 at the Oregon 25. Yeah, Otani's an alien. I mean, again, crazy to be able to get 10 Ks, but then on top of that to get 3 home runs. I don't think we have seen anything like that at all. Sarah with a 5, appreciate you. But I think that we can all agree, as much as we love Cal Raleigh and we love Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani is the best player on the planet. Sarah with a 5, appreciate you. And we need Dante Moore to step up. Here we go. Shotgun set on 1st down and 10. Handoff, bouncing it to the outside. Noah Whittington there for a 3-yard gain to the Oregon 28, 2nd down and 7. And Whittington, needs to be able to get the ball, but I'm really looking at Hill. Hill reminds me kind of like a Jonathan Stewart, type of running back with a little bit of a LeGarrette Blount in him. He runs downhill. He runs angry and nasty. And again, when you don't, give the football to your best players, again, that's a big reason why I feel that we ended up losing that game as well last week to Indiana. Handoff up the middle. Great defense there by Rutgers in the backfield. And they're led by Greg Schiano, who coached the Buccaneers and obviously went back to Rutgers there. Great defense there by the Scarlet Knights. Loss of 4 for Noah Whittington. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Stacks. Rax with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. We're at 5. 95 to go on the Dono train. Appreciate you. 3rd down and 11 at the Oregon 24 after that great defensive play there by Rutgers. And we have never played Rutgers in Oregon's team history since we just joined the Big Ten, obviously. Little screen pass, spin move, fumble! And it's in the air, and Oregon turns the ball over. And I want to say that I'm surprised, but I'm not. Again, I had a feeling that we would start sluggish, slow, possibly have a turnover here or there. And I wasn't anticipating maybe a turnover on the first drive. But again, as that ball gets popped up into the air, if you're a wide receiver or a running back, okay, and you're going to end up catching a screen pass and you do too many spin moves, hitting that circle button on PlayStation one too many times, you're going to have that ball go in the air. It gets tipped once, twice, and right into a Rutgers player's hands. Unbelievable. Dante Moore to Gary Bryant Jr. Gary Bryant Jr., you got to be better. And that was recovered by Jordan Walker. Great job there. And it's better, always to lose during the regular season than, to feel like you're just so much better than everyone else, go undefeated, and then get rocked, in the playoff if you got 3 weeks off. But again, this is going to be a learning curve for us. Pass towards the sideline, incomplete. Pass incomplete to KJ Duff. 2nd down and 10 at the Oregon 33. Let's see if they can take advantage. Shotgun set. Brandon Finney in coverage. Duff, incomplete pass. 3rd down and 10 at the Oregon 33. If we can find a way to get out of that jam, obviously giving up an interception or fumble on the first drive, but when you go into someone else's house, regardless of record, you have to be aware. And he's going long, going deep. Jump ball, incomplete. Wow. They are really testing Oregon secondary early and often, which is, something that obviously if you're going against the Ducks, you want to be able to see if they can hang or not with the corners and the safeties over the top. 3 straight passes, you would have thought that maybe they would have tried running the ball a little bit, but if they're going to go for 3 straight passes and, they're going to get 3 incomplete passes, we'll take that after the turnover. And then we got a field goal attempt. Hash on the far left, so there's a chance that he may shank it for Jai Patel. 51-yarder. Kick is up. Get it. And just through the crossbar and good. 3-0 Rutgers. All right, we can't be turning the ball over with Gary Bryant Jr. or anybody else. And again, Dante Moore, hand that football off. And again, we are going to have to try to test this defense. And again, sluggish start was kind of expected by myself. And I imagine a few other Duck fans after losing to Indiana. But that doesn't mean the season is over. I still think that we are one of the best teams in college football, but we need to regroup. get motivated again. And then again, when you go on the road, regardless of record, Rutgers is 3-3, 0-3 in the Big Ten, but that doesn't mean that, a team like that, could end up giving their best effort and beating a team that they may not be as good as, but if they give better effort and get a little lucky in the turnover game, anything can happen. And hopefully we'll be able to pull away in the third and fourth quarter. But I assume it's going to be extremely close here in the first half. Yeah, crazy that the Brewers only scored 2 runs, but it shows you how good the Dodgers are with their pitching staff. They don't need to use the bullpen as much. They can have guys go, 7-8 innings, and they can also have guys go 5 and 6 in games 3 and game 4. But to only score 2 runs in 4 games, pretty wild. And the Brewers were so good, during the regular season. And honestly, if they would have played anybody, but the Dodgers, like let's say it's the Phillies and the Brewers, maybe the Brewers would have scored a few more runs. Maybe the Brewers would have won a couple games. Maybe the Brewers would have been able to beat the Phillies. But again, the Dodgers are on a whole nother level. It's the first time that we've had back-to-back, World Series appearances by the same team in a minute, 10 to 15 years and whatnot plus. So, again, when you end up having guys like, Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, first ballot Hall of Famers, really good players like Teoscar Hernandez and guys that step up in the postseason like Kike Hernandez, on top of having Blake Snell this year with Shohei available to pitch with Yamamoto and others. It's, I think the Mariners have a better chance than the Blue Jays. If the Blue Jays would advance, I think that they might be able to win a game, but, they could get swept. But I think with the Mariners and Dodgers, our bullpen is a little bit better than theirs. Could we get swept, by the Dodgers? Absolutely we could. But there is a chance that they could end up winning a couple games. And if they can end up stealing, a game early or 2, who knows? Again, it's a David and Goliath story. Kind of stay here with Oregon and Rutgers. And, if you give your best effort and get a little bit lucky, anything can happen. Now here we go. Rutgers kickoff. And we need to be able to, get some field goals, but primarily we need to get in the end zone and get 6. Cody in the building. What's good? I ended up watching Michigan go against Washington, the Huskies, this morning, and that was a big challenge for the Huskies, but a little disappointing. Damon Williams is like Kyler Murray. You got, obviously, Jonah Coleman, who's one of the best running backs in the game, and you got one of the best wide receivers in Denzel Boston, David Boston's son, but they just could only manufacture 7 on the road, and congratulations to Michigan, but that's a tough loss for Husky fans. I was thinking that they would play a little bit better, and they might have a chance, but that evaporated in the second half. Shotgun set on first down and 10. Little screen pass. And Noah Whittington there. Whittington, Bryant Jr., Moore, Benson, and Kenyon Sadiq. And obviously we're led by Dante Moore, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Moore pass complete to Noah Whittington for 4 yards to the Oregon 29. Whittington right back up the middle with a little bit of a counter dive. Gain of a couple. 3-yard run to the Oregon 32. .12:38 left in the first quarter. 3-0 Rutgers after a Gary Bryant Jr. spin move fumble that popped into the air, and they did not get a completion in 3 tries and kicked a field goal to be able to put them up 3-0 early. Halfback toss pitch. There we go, baby. Down the sideline. Go, baby, go. Yes, go. The 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. He is gone. Wow, Noah Whittington, unbelievable touchdown. Are you kidding me? And that little flip, that pitch to the left-hand side, great blocking by the O-line, and a huge scamper, 68 yards for the tutty. There we go. Go Ducks. That's exactly what we needed. Let's go. What a play. Unbelievable. Extra point is up and good. Nice job by Atticus Sappington, 7-3. And this is on the Big Ten Network, but if you do have the Fox Sports app, or if you have cable or satellite, or you have access, you can actually watch, the Big Ten Network through the Fox Sports app if you link it with your cable or satellite provider. Great blocking downfield and incredible speed. And it's nice that we have the luxury of going about 5 running backs deep this year. Great job. 7-3 Oregon. Let's go. Great job by Noah Whittington. Great job there by Noah Whittington, scampering down that sideline, 68 yards, untouched. Atticus Sappington kick is up and good, 7-3 Oregon. And I'm really thankful that we were able to bounce back that quickly. Great job. Look through some of the notable scores here through college football today. All right, so we got Indiana 38-10 after down early in that matchup. They are just going on a ferocious pace, ranked 3rd in the nation now. Congratulations to them. Georgia and Ole Miss going at it with 2 minutes to go, 43-35. Number 5, Ole Miss. Number 9, Georgia. Definitely got to keep tabs on that. And there's a few other matchups that are going on, like Washington State and Virginia. And obviously Tennessee and Alabama. USC, Notre Dame are the showcase games here later tonight. And Sappington kicks 65 yards for the touchback. And it'll be 1st down and 10 at the Rutgers 25. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train. And we're looking for 5 to 15 subs. Let's go. First down and 10 here for Rutgers at the 25. Handoff up the middle. And that's a gain of none or maybe 1. Antoine Raymond run for a loss of 1. 2nd down and 11 at the Rutgers 24. Go Ducks. Let's go, baby. Shotgun set. Blitz coming up the middle. Tipped and incomplete. Third down and 11 here at the Rutgers 24. Kalikamannis, pass incomplete, starting to have a little bit of a hard time finding a little bit of rhythm. KJ Duff, his favorite target. Shotgun set. Nice catch there, but short of the first down marker for Kalikamannis. 7-yard gain. And that'll be fourth down. Good stop by the Ducks. And Greg Schiano, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer coach, obviously back with Rutgers as being a head coach in the past. And a great stop there for the Oregon D. DT Sheffield for a 7-yard gain, and we have a punt here by Rutgers. And great special teams there by Rutgers. Gary Bryant Jr. with the fair catch. And we got a little ways to go. First down and 10 at the Oregon 13. Megan in the building. How are you? Jay in the building. How are you? Oregon started off the game with a screen pass to Gary Bryant Jr., hit a spin move. Ball popped up in the air. Rutgers recovered. 3 incomplete passes for Rutgers, and the field goal team was sent out, and it was good. And on that left hash, you always have to keep an eye on that. Anytime that you have the hash on the left or the right, makes it a little bit more difficult, but they got the job done there with Patel, and that field goal was good. 51 yards to be exact. And then on that next drive, obviously Noah Whittington, big giant run with a pitch to the left side, 68 yards. Atticus Sappington extra point is good. 7-3 Ducks here early. 10:30 left here in the first quarter between the Oregon Ducks, 5-1, 2-1 in Big Ten play, versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 3-3, 0-3 in Big Ten play. Nice job by Noah Whittington, and hopefully he'll be able to continue his dominance here today. Looks like that Indiana-Michigan State game is final. Georgia just beat Ole Miss 43-35. Great win for Georgia at home. Ohio State blanking Wisconsin 34-0, still the best team in the country. Vanderbilt upsetting LSU at home 31-24. Great job there by Vandy. Georgia Tech 27-18 over Duke. Oklahoma beating South Carolina 26-7. And Louisville beating Miami, the number 2 ranked team in the country. So it shows you it's not just Oregon, and other teams that are in the top 5 and top 10 that are prone to losses, during the regular season. Did Miami have any business losing to Louisville? No, but that's what makes college football special. You never know. On any given Saturday, anything can happen. USC and Notre Dame on in about 30 minutes on NBC/Peacock. I'll definitely be tapping into that, as well as Tennessee and Alabama on ABC at the same time. Got to get De'Aaron Hill the ball, baby. Let's see if we can get a few first downs. I mean, we went from turning the ball over on the first drive and then having an amazing 68-yard scamper on touch for a touchdown, handoff up the middle. And a short gain there by the Ducks. Megan with a 20. Appreciate you. Germany, huh? Kraken. Let's go, Kraken. I've actually been watching the games for the most part. Appreciate you so much. $20 holla on the Dono train. I know they won the first 2 games and then they went on the road and then they obviously lost in overtime, but it definitely feels like a better squad this year. You know, we got Mason Marchment from the Stars, and you know, you're going to be able to see some growth out of Matty Beniers and Shane Wright, and you know, goaltending overall looks a little bit better. You know, I know it's still early in the season and whatnot, but you know, hopefully we can get some you know, good quality hockey out of the Kraken this year, and you know, we'll see how it goes. But you know, from the minutes that I've watched and each matchup, I've liked what I've seen. I mean, obviously the overtime loss was tough, but you know, early in the season and when you go on the road, you can't expect to win all those games. So 3rd down and 3 after that 2-yard run by Noah Whittington. Dante Moore bouncing it to the outside, throw to the sideline, and complete. 1st down, Ducks. Wow. Let's see if he actually comes down with this. Wow, he does. Dante Moore to Jeremiah McClellan. 16 yards. 1st down, Oregon. Move the chains. Yeah, I like Lambert. You know, he's got a different type of personality than some of the other individuals that were, you know, linked to the team in the past. And again, it all comes down to wins, you know, and wins cure everything. So, you know, but it seems like the chemistry and the continuity and the vibe are on a different level in 2025 for them, which is very cool to see. And even with the Blazers, you know, no one expected a whole lot from them either. And looks like they might actually be a little bit better than expected this year as well. So nice to be able to see some Pacific Northwest teams like the Blazers and Kraken potentially could be playoff teams this year, which is cool. Handoff up the middle and a short gain there. Good defense there by Rutgers with that D line. Whittington with the short gain. No gain for Noah. 3rd down and 10 at the Oregon 36. Yeah, if I have a chance to be able to go through a commercial break, I'll try to pull those up for you through the Instagram account. Very cool trip that you had, and I'm happy that you got a chance to rejuvenate on a little bit of a vacation and enjoy yourself out there. 3rd down and 10. Shotgun set for Dante Moore. They bring 4. Plenty of time. Wide open in the middle of that zone. 1st down. Ducks. Wow. Kenyon Sadiq, one of the best tight ends in the game, you know, going through that zone coverage and just finding a little bit of a gap with that post route. Beautiful. Screen pass on 1st down and 10. Minimal gain there. Second down and 7 for the Oregon Ducks. 7-3 early here in the first quarter after a turnover on the first drive. Nice to be able to see Oregon bouncing back. And again, you know, there was 2 different scenarios. They were going to be incredibly slow for the whole first half, or they were going to find a way. You know, 0 to 10 points wouldn't, you know, shock me. And if we got to 20, it wouldn't really shock me. But when you're on the road, you always have to anticipate it being a little bit harder, even if the opponent isn't as good as you, just because you're in their house. We've never played this team before. They're going to be motivated to try to beat us. And we just got to be able to recover from last week and then move forward. 3rd down and 3. 3 for 4 for 3rd downs here early. Looks like Rutgers are bringing a blitz. We got trips right. 5 wide receiver set. Dante Moore. Uh-oh. Break it, baby. Oh, he slips and trips over. And let's see what this flag is. Hopefully this isn't holding with the offensive line. That was a hell of a run by Dante Moore with 5 wide receiver set and decided to go with the quarterback keeper. Officials are still talking it over to figure out what this flag is. I hope it's not on Oregon's O-line. Holding. Damn it. 10-yard penalty on that hold. Repeat first down. Brutal. Might be Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end here. Let's look at this replay. Yeah, they're going to call that every single time, especially if the quarterback runs right past him when you're not disengaging with the player. Oh, Sadiq, you come up with a big 24-yard catch with the post route, and then you end up holding a couple plays later. You know, we got to be able to minimize the self-inflicting wounds, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. Shotgun set. More. Laser. Back of the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon. Are you kidding me? Wow. Kenyon Sadiq after the holding penalty. One play later, Dante Moore with a laser in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Ducks. Wow. Unbelievable. That's a Heisman type of throw right there. That's an NFL throw right there. Wow. 30-yard reception for Kenyon Sadiq. Let's go. And there's a reason why he's one of the best tight ends in the country. Woo! Unbelievable. And again, I don't think any Duck fan really was worried that we would lose the game. We just were kind of concerned on, how we're going to start this game after losing last week to Indiana, who's a very good team, obviously, in 2025. So nice to see after the turnover that things are, starting to get back to the level of what we expect. Two-point conversion is good, but there is a flag on the play. We'll see if there's some kind of illegal motion or something here. I mean, obviously, since baseball is starting to wind down, looks like a false start there on Oregon. No offsetting penalties. Illegal formation and offsides. But as baseball starts to wind down, as well as the NFL and college football, then we'll transition later as we go into the year with a little bit of NHL, a little bit of NBA and whatnot. But all right, let's see what they decide to do here. I think they're just going to take the extra point after the offsetting penalty. 13-3, not 15-3. Kick is up, and that is good. So score will be readjusted through the scoreboard there. 14-3, not 15-3. We did end up hitting a 2-point conversion, but there was illegal motion and obviously offsides, like offsetting penalties, and they decided to go for the extra point. So 14-3, Oregon. Let's see if we can find a photo or two in here. All right, so we got the first one when you're there at the show. I assume that's Bob Gale there. And then is this one of the individuals that worked on one of the sets or whatnot that you were mentioning? Pretty cool. Always cool when you can end up, going on a trip, and then you can end up, meeting some of the individuals in, the event or show that you ended up going to. Pretty sweet. And Roger Bart. Nice. Heck yeah. Very cool. Ooh, good seats. 3 rows from the front. Awesome. 14-3 Oregon here early. 6:25 left in the first quarter. And shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Appreciate you, my guy. And he ended up making some new music, but the file was too big for me to be able to convert it over, not only through my email, but also through the streaming program. It gives limitations on how many like megabytes it can be, megabits. So hopefully I'll be able to find a few others that will be a little bit smaller file-wise. But shout out to him. And I always will represent my friends. They have dreams and goals. And again, I'm very proud of them. And it's a very cool partnership that we have, considering we're going to have great music on the channel now moving forward. And it'll always be fresh, new, original, and from him. So it's definitely a very exciting time here at the NWSF. We broke 23,000 subs. We broke 5.1 million views just a few days ago. And obviously we are going in the right direction. Feels good. Finally to get, some of the global audience and actually to, get the views and the subs and the donos and finally, feeling like you're actually breaking out, based on all the hard work that we've been doing over all these years. So Tyler in the building. What's good? We fumbled on the first drive. Gary Bryant Jr. got a screen pass. He did a spin move and the ball went up in the air. And then Rutgers got it. 3 incomplete passes in a row by their quarterback. They kick a field goal and then they go up 3-0. We end up going with Noah Whittington with a pitch to the left-hand side for a 68-yard touchdown, untouched. And that got us on the board. And then after, Dante Moore kind of going through a few of the different check downs and whatnot, Kenyon Sadiq, obviously with a big 20-plus yard post. Then he ends up having a holding penalty. And then one play later, another post for a touchdown, 30 yards. And Sappington's kick is good after we went for a 2-point conversion and there was offsetting penalties. So I kind of felt that it was going to be a little sluggish of a start, but we are doing better than I anticipated in the first quarter. Shotgun set on 2nd down and 4. And handoff up the middle for a short gain there by Antoine Raymond, 4 yards. And that'll be 1st down, Scarlet Knights. Yeah. Also, it's, nice to go from, hitting 500 to 1,000 views from back in the day. And then now, hitting streams of 10,000 to 60,000. It definitely feels a hell of a lot better when you're hitting numbers like that. So pressure from the Ducks. Avoids a sack lunch. Throw to the sideline towards that 50-yard line out of bounds. And pass is incomplete. I will be doing the Seattle Mariners versus the Toronto Blue Jays, game number 6 in the ALCS. Hopefully we end up winning tomorrow and go to our very first World Series against the Dodgers, who already have punched their ticket with Shohei Ohtani getting 10 Ks and 3 home runs in the concluding Game 4 sweep and against the Brewers. And again, that way I can do the Buccaneers and the Lions on Monday night. Otherwise, if the Blue Jays win tomorrow, then Game 7 will take priority over the Bucks and the Lions, but I really want to do that for Monday night on the doubleheader. And nice throw with that post route right up the middle on 2nd down and 10. And that's an 8-yard throw to DT Sheffield. Now we're down 3rd down and 2 at the Rutgers 43. Yeah, 100% I believe that we're going to make it. That Game 5 was critical. You can say whoever won that Game 5 had the edge. And especially when we're going back to Toronto for the last 2 games, potentially, winning Game 5 with Cal and Gino being heroes late was huge. That was the biggest home run in Mariner history. So, again, we have very good chance to get the job done. And we won the first 2 games on the road. So it's starting to look pretty good, for the Mariners' chances on getting the job done. Now, the real question is are we going to win tomorrow or are we going to have to wait to Game 7 to win? But either way, it should be electric. Raymond with that 4-yard run to the Rutgers 47. First down, Scarlet Knights. Less than 4 minutes to go here in the first quarter. 14-3 Oregon after an early turnover by Gary Bryant Jr. with a fumble. And so far it's looking pretty good for the Oregon defense and the Oregon offense. Blitz off the edge and batted down. Good defense there by Oregon. Big fumble right there, and a good recovery there by Rutgers. I mean, if I'm going to be honest and realistic, beating the Dodgers, if you watched any of their games, not only when they played us in the last 3 games of the regular season, but the Dodgers are, it's like David and Goliath. The Mariners would be David. The Dodgers are Goliath. They already won the World Series last year. Shohei Ohtani just got 10 Ks and 3 home runs. No player's ever done that. Shohei Ohtani's the best player in the world. He's like Babe Ruth, but better, So again, then they already have Mookie and Freddie, a couple other Hall of Famers, Teoscar, Kike Hernandez, Blake Snell on the mound also. So realistically, it's going to be very tough to be able to beat the Dodgers. Now, is it possible? If we're in it, yeah, we have a chance, But again, if the Brewers only scored 2 runs and lost all 4 games, we feel that we're better than them. But, I think that we can win 1 or 2 games. But, again, if we're going to win it all, we would have to steal a few games and obviously win the first few games of the series to get a little bit of an edge. Otherwise, if you drop like the first 2 games, it might be nighty-night at that point, especially with a team as good as that. But you never know. I think we match up really well with them, as we get a timeout here by Rutgers on 3rd down and 7 by Greg Schiano. But, the Dodgers are, they're not unbeatable. But again, the one advantage the Mariners have is the bullpen over theirs, but how they combat the bullpen issue, they just have their pitchers go longer. So it's like Blake Snell, if you don't really trust the guys in the pen, then he can go like 8 innings. And then you only got to worry about one guy coming in, and typically that's the closer. And then it eliminates the guys that normally would be in the 6th, 7th, and 8th as bullpen guys. So, they can go about it in different ways to combat, that issue that they have. But, as long as we make it, we have a chance. But, we are going to be severe underdogs. Some people are going to think we're going to get swept. Some people will think we win only 1 game. Maybe some people, being generous, will think 2. But, again, to win 4 games out of 7 against a team like that is going to take a hell of an effort. But as long as we get in to the World Series, yeah, we will have a chance. But the chance of winning it all, realistically, it's probably like 20%. Maybe even lower than that. It's going to be really tough, but not impossible. But again, if we do end up winning it all, it'll be something that people will be talking about for many, many years to come, especially with a team as good as Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman. They are ridiculous. 3rd down and 7. Duck showing blitz. Pressure, little check down, tackle him. And just short of the 1st down marker there. 4th down and 1 or 4th down in inches. Kalikimanis kind of deciding here what they're going to go for here on 4th down and 1. Yeah, Roki had struggles early, in the season, but obviously, most of the time he gets the job done, even if he gets a little shaky. Run right over to that left side. 1st down, Oregon. I wish. 1st down, Rutgers. Move the chains. Well, Ohtani is the best player in the world. They're, even Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh aren't doing what, Shohei Ohtani's doing. Shohei's pitching, getting 10 Ks, and he hit 3 home runs. That's something that Cal and Judge can't do because they're not, pitchers. They can't pitch. So, as good as Cal and Judge are, and they are great, they're Hall of Fame players. Ohtani is the modern day Babe Ruth, and it kind of looks like he's even better, based on some of the stats that he's doing. He's doing things that even Babe Ruth didn't do, which is pretty wild to say. Little check down, tipped in the air, intercepted. Here we go. And exactly the same way Gary Bryant Jr. fumbled in the air, Looks like the Oregon Ducks end up getting an interception off a deflection in the air as well, but we got a flag on the play, and things get chippy on the bottom of that pile between Oregon and the Scarlet Knights. Alcamanis there, a little frustrated. Nice to be able to see Oregon's defense step up. That was, are we going to run the football, and are we going to have good defense? Those were my questions today. And how is the O-line and D-line going to respond after getting dominated by Indiana last week? And obviously, Rutgers is not Indiana. We got a dead ball penalty after the tipped interception. Alcamanis, and great hands getting the ball up in the air from the D-line there. Great job by Oregon. And then you got 3-4 Duck players with the awareness, hey, let's go. It's hot potato. Go get it. And to be in the right place in the right time and to be able to get that interception up in the air in between 3 Scarlet Knights, pretty impressive. I mean, there was only 1 Duck and there was 4 Rutgers Scarlet Knight players, and then the 1 Duck in the middle of it all ends up getting it. Beautiful. As far as college football, is concerned, we're very good on pretty much all levels. Dante Moore with the play action fake. Gary Bryant Jr., first down, Oregon. Oregon's got a quarterback that'll be a Heisman finalist. So we have a better quarterback than last year, and last year was a good one in Dylan Gabriel, the lefty. We have 5-6 different running backs that we can go to with Whittington and Hill and many others. Great wide receiving core. We got the best tight end in the country. Offensive line is good. Defensive line is good. Defense is good. Head coach is good. Kicker is good. So we don't really have any weaknesses. It just really comes down to if we play a team, like Penn State before they had their meltdown and fired James Franklin. And then obviously after we beat them, then they lost to UCLA and started losing to other teams on top of that as well. But, when you end up playing, top tier teams, that have good O-line and D-line, that usually, dictates the outcome of the game, just like in the NFL. If you can run block and pass protect, and then you can get to the quarterback on defense, that's going to change the outcome of the game. And if you're not able to protect your quarterback, Oregon had 1 sack all year going into the game against Indiana, right? Indiana had the top 10 offense, top 10 defense, top 10 special teams. That's the only team in the country, out of 100 Division I teams plus, the only one team out of 120, right, that was top 10 in all 3 categories. And we had 6 sacks given up. And again, we got our ass kicked on the line of scrimmage, on the O-line, on the D-line as well. They definitely confused us, on some of their pressures. Dante Moore looked confused and out of rhythm. And then in the second half, we didn't run the football. And again, when you end up being down, you tend to throw the ball a little bit more. And that's not just Oregon football. That's any team in the NFL or college football. So, it was kind of, I expected it. I didn't expect us to win that game. And again, I know that when we play the Huskies in Seattle at the end of the year, that'll be a battle and a war as well. But, that might be the only loss that Oregon has, the rest of the way. And then if they make a college football playoff, we'll see. Are they good enough to make it to the Natty? We don't know. Are they good enough to win it all? I don't know. But again, they do have a chance, to be one of the, top 5, top 10 teams all year. And we'll see what happens when the playoffs roll out. Maybe we'll get a little payback against Indiana and we match up with them at some point. And maybe we get a little payback against Ohio State for them beating us last year, even though they beat, we beat them in Autzen at the regular season. But when it mattered the most in the college football playoff, Chip Kelly knew exactly what to do as OC and beat us. So, we'll see where it goes. End of the first quarter, 14-3 Oregon. Go Ducks. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the Dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's go. 86 subs to go to 23,200 to start the stream. We gained 3 subs, 3 to go on that end. So 83 subs to go to 23,200. We're at 23,117. Shout out to the new subs that we've acquired. Appreciate you guys very much. USC is pretty good this year. That USC Notre Dame game, I don't know if what you have going on, but that would be a game that I would watch. Nice run. First down, Oregon. And I know you have had a busy schedule and, you know, you're doing a lot of things and you just got back from the trip. So you might have not been able to fully focus your attention on USC as much as you would like. But again, I definitely would be tapping into that game that starts here in a couple minutes. That's a very good matchup. USC should win that game, but it's very close. You know, Notre Dame is a pretty good team this year, but they're not as good as last year's team. Bouncing out to the outside, the 30, the 20. Another first down there by the Ducks. Jordan Davison on one play, Malik Benson on a 21-yard scamper down that sideline for another first down. A little trick play. Flea flicker, wide open, touchdown, Oregon. Wow. Unbelievable. Kenyon Sadiq off the flea flicker. Hopefully he didn't injure himself. Looks like he might have knocked the wind out of himself, or maybe hopefully he's okay, but he's got a little bit of a limp. He had to go up at the high point to get that football. And when you end up running like a reverse and then a flea flicker, and then you end up having the number 1 tight end in the country, you'll be wide open downfield. He really had to extend his whole body. And I don't know if he landed on the football or whatnot, but maybe, kind of knocked the wind out of himself a little bit. But another touchdown grab by Kenyon Sadiq, 21-yard touchdown pass by Dante Moore. God, he is special. Extra point is up and good. There we go. 21-3 Oregon. But one thing, as you know, Megan, when you watch, USC as I watch Oregon, one thing that the teams typically have in common, a lot of athletic players, guys that can make big plays, on any given play, running backs, wide receivers. And obviously we'll see how the defense matches up against Notre Dame, obviously here momentarily in just a few minutes. USC is 20th, 5-1. Notre Dame is 4-2 of 13th. And they're on the road, so it will be challenging, but USC could win that game. And then you got number 11 Tennessee versus number 6 Alabama for the other showcase game here this evening. Now, I don't usually get a chance, to watch USC games from beginning to end. Usually I'll try to turn it on if I know that they're on, and I'll take a peek. But most of the time I'm watching like the Huskies, play, and then obviously the Ducks, and then some of the primetime matchups. But obviously the Mariners, have taken up a lot of my time, since this big run. Obviously, one game away from the World Series, and then, the NFL and other things as well. So I haven't got a chance to watch a full game, of them just yet. But I imagine before the year is over, I'll probably end up watching 1 or 2. I usually watch about 3 or 4 full college football games on a Saturday, but, it kind of just depends on the matchups and, if I'm interested in watching that particular matchup or not. So first down and 10 here in the second quarter, 14:02 left. Shotgun set, hand off, and the Ducks defense is all over it. Yeah, we're back, baby. But again, we're not playing a team that's got a top 10 offense, top 10 defense, top 10 special teams. And, when you play a team like Indiana, that was like playing Ohio State. If you don't play perfect, you lose. And even though we had that pick 6 to tie it up, we weren't able to score late, and they scored the last 10. And, offensive line, defensive line, Dante Moore. It just wasn't a good game for us, but it was a learning experience, and we better learn, in the middle of the season rather than, waiting to, the end of the season to lose or potentially in the playoffs. So the loss doesn't bother me one bit. KJ Duff, first down, Rutgers. First down and 10 to KJ Duff, that 18-yard reception. Oh, fumble. And Oregon's got the turnover. Let's go. We just had the interception, and I think Oregon recovered the fumble there. 21-3 Ducks. And again, I'm so happy that Oregon, was able to get off to a fast start here on the road. There we go. Oregon recovers the big fumble. Wow. And that's when Oregon is playing Oregon football. When we're getting picks, we're punching footballs out, we're getting interceptions, we're getting fumbles, we're playing nasty up front on the O-line and the D-line. Dante Moore, is going through his progressions. Wide receivers and tight ends are balling out. And then we got 5 different running backs that we can go through, from Noah Whittington to Hill and many others that can get the job done. And, in a matter of seconds, we should be at 28-3, you would think. Big fumble by Antoine Raymond, 8-yard gain, punched out and fumbled. And then Johnson with the recovery for the Oregon Ducks. Great job. A lot of times when I, use different cards, I like a vintage look. So obviously if I could find like vintage Oregon Duck cards, for my Duck streams, I would rather go that particular route. But I like going with the old school basketball, football, baseball kind of vibe. And honestly, I just look to see what's available that will fit. And, I took a long time, to go through many different shots, to see which ones would actually fit, the format, since I have so many layers, through the stream and whatnot. And, it had the right look that I was looking for, and it fit, and again, I would rather do old school, vibes, rather than, like modern day cards. Modern day, it doesn't really look as good. And then you also have to make sure that it all lines up and fits. And I wasn't able to find anything that lined up and fit that was modern day. So I figured I would go old school, and then I would just go through, many years of different, opportunities of card manufacturers. And, these are the kind of ones that we fell upon through the football for NFL and college football streams. And then obviously I switched it up on the baseball end, and then I have a separate basketball one as well. So, but that's really the main thing. Like I could have gone for another year, but again, I kind of like the portrait style, old school. But again, it's really the number one criteria for me was, does it fit? Does it fit the screen? And there's a bunch of cards behind it. So it's not just 3 on the left, 3 on the right. It's like a collage of, 5 rows deep, and it just lined up perfectly. So, nothing really beyond that. It gives an old school vibe. It's old. It's got that old school look, and it fit. And then, I kind of gone, from that route. And every once in a while, I'll look to see if I can find anything that's better, football-wise or baseball-wise. But out of all the times that I've looked, I haven't been able to find anything that lines up better than the options that I have at the moment. So. Second turnover there for Rutgers. And let's see if Oregon and Dante Moore can capitalize. A little pitch to the right-hand side. Blockers downfield. First down, Oregon. Here we go. 1-0 Kraken. Who scored? Nice to see Matty Beniers and the rest of the squad, playing some great hockey early. Nice run by Hill for 10 yards. Handoff up the middle by Hill again. And that was really the big difference, I feel, against Indiana. We didn't get Hill, touches. Hill should be the guy that should be the number one, in my opinion. Whittington should be the 2, and Hill should be the 1. Based on his frame and his size, it's kind of like a Jonathan Stewart, LeGarrette Blount type of runner. And again, Noah Whittington, had some injuries, and he's normally going to be the 1 most of the time, and they'll rotate between 3, 4, 5 other running backs. But I think if they would go Hill as the 1, Whittington as the 2, as the change of pace back, even though Hill's a freshman, I think that it could definitely open things up. Wide open on the post, touchdown, Dante Moore. Wow, more to more, Dante to Decorian, and just like that, another post route and another touchdown in that secondary in between Rutgers, playing that soft zone. 34 yards from Dante Moore to Decorian Moore, the 5-star freshman. Wow. And just like that, 27-3. And I ended up meeting up, with Collegiate Art Designs, the owner, Brian, and, he's got a 3D printer and he's got all kinds of new equipment. And I ended up getting a Oregon Duck chain that glows in the dark, which is very dope. Brand new, just hit the market. Unfortunately, with the streams, you can't really see it. You have to have more normal, lighting and, obviously darkness. And it comes up with green and yellow and white. And then it also has a few colors that, purplish pink, for breast cancer. And then there's a few other colors that are thrown in for free, that are just with the program itself that typically we don't wear, like blue or a red, but you never know. There might end up being something that they do to represent the troops or the USA and some kind of alternate jersey down the road. But that particular chain has got, I think, 8 color settings. Pretty cool. And definitely was great to be able to see him. And, normally he's the type of guy who will mail, whatever purchase we make. But since I know him, I was able to get a personal delivery, which was very cool because I haven't seen him in person in quite some time. And I was really looking forward to being able to rock the glow-in-the-dark jersey on stream. But as I was getting ready for kickoff and I turned it on, based on the bright lighting that I have, you can't really see it. So if you can't see it, then there's no point of really showing it off on the stream. But it's a very cool piece, especially in the dark. The green and the yellow light up a room. It's very dope. And even in regular lighting, it pops really, really nicely. 28-3 Oregon. Brooks in the building. What's good, my guy? I mean, now with all those bets, I'm not really sure if the quarterback, there for Rutgers is going to be able to get the yardage, but we definitely played much better here in the first half. I thought either one or two things, 0 to 10 points, they'd start slow on the road, or they were going to explode. And obviously this is not Indiana that we're playing here today. And it kind of sucks that your file, was just too big. The 30 megabytes or megabits is the limit. And it was too big for my email to be able to transfer. So that was probably the first sign. And then when I ended up downloading it, from that position already, it said it was too big. So, but luckily we've only had that happen one time at this point. So, but hopefully you end up winning your bet. But Oregon is looking very fierce here early on, 28-3. And again, we'll be doing the Mariners and the Blue Jays ALCS game number 6. Obviously a big win yesterday in game 5 with Cal and Eugenio Suarez with the grand salami late. And again, we're one win away from our very first World Series. Brooks Beats, the best beats on YouTube. And I appreciate the relationship that we have. And, if we continue to be able to get, the likes and the subs and the views and the donos, I want to make sure I can try to take care of you as often as possible, as long as I'm getting taken care of myself as well. So. Let's go, baby. Shane Wright, that's my boy. And here we go, Atticus Sappington with the kickoff, 63 yards. So So hopefully, obviously the Ducks are in prime position to blow this team out and get back on track after losing to Indiana, up by 25 right now. Oregon, put the check mark down. Then we got the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Hopefully that'll be done by tomorrow. And then Monday, we got the Buccaneers and the Lions, one of the best matchups of the weekend. Really want to do that on Monday night. Baker is baking, MVP candidate. And obviously we've had a lot of injuries, but I do think that we have a chance to win that game. Play action fake, throw to the sideline, and incomplete. Kaliakmanis passing complete to Sheffield. Yeah, it's all right. If Oregon goes, from 1, 2, or 3, and then they end up dropping to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as long as they're in the top 10 all year, that's really what matters. And again, we have a chance to be able to, climb up the rankings and get back to the top 3 before the season's over. Floater going long, going deep, and overthrows his man. Incomplete. Kenny Fletcher, the junior, incomplete pass there towards that sideline by Kaliakmanis. 3rd down and 10 at the Rutgers 25. We got Logan Gilbert on the bump tomorrow, and he beat the Blue Jays in Game 2 on the road after we got a great performance by Bryce Miller in Game 1 and Game 5. So I like our chances with Logan Gilbert tomorrow. 3rd down and 10 at the Rutgers 25. Oregon defense has been stifling. Pressure off the edge and avoids the sack lunch and doesn't get away from the 3rd Duck defender. And that's a 1-yard run there by Kaliakmanis. 4th down and 9. And again, it's great to be able to see the Oregon defense play motivated like this. But again, it shows you the difference when you play a normal average team or below average team like Rutgers, and when you play a team like Ohio State or Indiana, or even someone playing Oregon. The athletes are on a different level, and there's no doubt about that. And we got Rutgers here having a punt on 4th down and 9 at the Rutgers 26. And if there's any updates on any of the other scores in college football, please let me know. Obviously, USC is up 6-0 on Notre Dame. Tennessee and Alabama, I'm looking forward to that one as well. And Texas Tech down by 4 to Arizona State. And Miami ended up losing to Louisville, and they were number 2. And a lot of Miami fans were talking trash about Oregon and a few of the other teams in the top 10. And again, sometimes you got to be humble, and if you end up, being a little bit extra, you don't know that maybe your team might be next. And I feel like a lot of the Hurricane fan base was kind of poking and prodding against Oregon. Hey, when we lost to a team that's one of the best in the nation. When Miami lost, you lost to an unranked team. There's a little bit of a difference. So I guess that's a little bit of karma. If you talk shit too much, eventually it'll, come back to you. What goes around comes around. And I still think Miami is a good team, and again, but no one, can avoid a loss in college football. I mean, unless you're maybe the Ohio State Buckeyes, but we'll see where it goes. Anderson with the punt, 46 yards. Gary Bryant Jr. returns it for no gain. And we got 1st down and 10 at the Oregon 28 with 10:38 left in the second quarter. And shout out to my boy Brooks Beats, the best beats on YouTube. Let's go over some of the scores here in college football. All right, so we got 28-3 Oregon here over Rutgers. They got Arizona State with the ball up 26-22 over the number 7 Texas Tech Red Raiders. That's a huge upset for the Sun Devils. 31-20 A&M over Arkansas. Washington State up 14-7 on Virginia. Virginia's ranked 18th, so if Washington State wins that, that'll be huge for the Cougars. Texas and Kentucky knotted up at 0. Tennessee and Bama, obviously just getting to kick off here. USC up 7-0 on Notre Dame on the road with a game that is winnable for the Trojans. South Florida up 7-0 on Florida Atlantic. Auburn and Missouri up in a little bit. Utah and BYU in 15 minutes, as well as Cincinnati and Oklahoma State. And then for final scores, Indiana, who just beat Oregon last week, 38-13 over Michigan State. 43-35, Georgia beating Ole Miss. Big win for Georgia. 31-24, UAB upsetting Memphis, who is ranked 22nd. Ohio State winning 34-0 over Wisconsin. And then Vandy winning 31-24 over the 10th ranked LSU Tigers. So, again, a lot of upsets within the last 3 weeks. And, again, no team is going to be avoiding losses. I mean, and again, I don't think Ohio State is so much better than everyone else. They're a very good team. And at some point, someone may beat them. It may not be in the regular season. It might be in the college football playoff. And it is possible they go back-to-back and win natties 2 years in a row. But for a lot of us fans that are fans of other teams like Oregon, we got dreams too. Noah Whittington with a 6-yard gain to the Oregon 34. 10 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Nice run right up the middle. First down, Ducks. Move the chains. Let's go. And again, I already knew we were in trouble playing Indiana. Top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense, top 10 in special teams. No other team in the country had those stats. Not even Ohio State. So I know some Oregon fans, you were being optimistic, but stats don't lie. And again, if you pay attention to the stats and the analytics, it'll give you an idea of how possibly the game could go if your team doesn't play well. First down and 10. Floater towards the sideline. Caught. Fighting for extra yards, and it takes 3 bear hugs from the Rutgers Scarlet Knight players on the sideline. First down, Oregon. Move the chains. Let's go, baby. Dante Moore to DeCorian Moore, 5-star blue chipper. It's the best athlete that Oregon has signed since DeAnthony Thomas and LaMichael James. And that was all the way back in 2009, 2010. So it shows you this DeCorian Moore type of player is like Jeremiah Smith for the Buckeyes in Ohio State. Sometimes you need those freakish athletes to really open up the playbook. And Dante Moore, more-to-more connection is thriving in 2025. First down and 10 at the Rutgers 28. Handoff up the middle. Go, baby, go. There we go. Noah Whittington scrambling into gambling. Touchdown, Oregon. 34-3 Ducks. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Great blocking up front by the offensive line. Beautiful. Let's get it, baby. Let's see if they go for a 2-point conversion here or not. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Extra point is up by Sappington. Kick is up and good. Let's go. We're beating the brakes off of Rutgers. But again, when we went to, Northwestern on the road, we were sluggish. We won the game, but we didn't play our best ball. And after losing to Indiana, obviously that was a long week of practice. A lot of our players were very upset. And again, sometimes you have to realize, when you go against another top team in the country, sometimes it's going to work out. Other times you're going to get your ass kicked. That's football. And I'm glad that we've responded in the most Oregon Duck way we could. 35-3. And we still got 9 minutes left in the second quarter. You assume in the second half that they're going to run the football, bleed the clock. So we're not going to get to 70 points. But there is a good chance that we could get in the 50 or 60 range. And that would definitely be good for the voters to maybe get the Ducks a little bit higher than number 8. And obviously we know Rutgers is 3-3. They're not as bad as like the Oregon State Beaver game where they had no wins. And obviously Rutgers is 0-3 in Big Ten, but they played the Huskies last week pretty well. So I am a little shocked that our offense and defense and special teams is this on point after a loss, but that's exactly what you see from a coach that's one of the top 3 in the country, Oregon's Dan Lanning. Great job. Man, he is, man. I mean, we got quite a few electric players, though. Noah Whittington will bring the electricity. Hill, the running back freshman, will bring the electricity. But DeCorian Moore, incredible, athlete, like a DeAnthony LaMichael James, DeAnthony Thomas type. And Dante Moore, our quarterback, is better than Dylan Gabriel. And Dylan Gabriel, got drafted by the Browns, and he was a lefty. And Dante Moore, obviously, as a righty, is a little bit more faster, a little bit better arm, and a better runner as well. And it definitely has showed in 2025. Shotgun set, handoff up the middle, and great gang tackle by the Oregon Ducks on first down. Benjamin with the short gain. 1-1 Kraken and Leafs. That's going to be a tough one. Let's go Kraken. Definitely excited to eventually go to my first Kraken game at some point. I will be going to a few Blazer games this year. And Yang, our draft pick, is a Chinese superstar, looking like a Yao Ming, but about 5 or 6 inches shorter. And I definitely like the chances of the Kraken and the Blazers competing for the playoffs this year. The Blazers might not be a high seed, but if they can even get the 8 seed, the last seed, I would take that. And if the Kraken can get in by any means necessary, I think Kraken fans would enjoy that as well. Three-yard run there by Benjamin. Second down and 7 at the Rutgers 28. Oh, it's all good. Dillingham, big win. And it's always cool to be able to see upsets, in college football. Unless it's your team. If it's your favorite team, it's like, no, but... And we've seen quite a few big top 25 upsets in the last 3 weeks. And hopefully Jayshon Benjamin is okay. As well as Ian Strong, who's down on the field right now. All right, Strong is walking off the field. Timeout is called. They're just making sure everyone is healthy out there. Kaliakmanis having a rough start. 5 for 13 with only, 45 yards and a pick. Handoff up the middle. But you would have to assume, obviously, being down, in this game, as much as they are going to be throwing the football a lot. So hopefully his passing yards will go up. Obviously over the 200 range at some point in the second half. 4-yard run there by Antoine Raymond down to the Rutgers 32, 3rd down and 3. Less than 8 minutes to go here in the second quarter, 35-3 Ducks. You just need 4 kicking points from Sappington. What about the other bet, though, with the quarterback for Rutgers having to get the yardage? Did you do 2 bets or did you just do 1? And what consists as a point? Like 1 point for extra point and 3 points for a field goal? So you just need 1 more field goal and 1 more extra point, or 4 more extra points, right? Something like that. I would assume a field goal is 3 and then extra point is 1. So, there's a good chance that Sappington will get 1 more field goal. I mean, unless we just get more touchdowns. But, again, the game will slow down in the second half, and I assume they'll run the football more. That's typically what happens when you're blowing a team out, kind of bleed the clock and whatnot. But I hope you win your bet. Throw to the sideline. And KJ Duff with the catch there. little surprising on how fierce the Duck defense came out in the first half. You know, again, we've seen the Ducks go on the road and look a little shaky in the first half, but not today. 1 field goal and 1 extra point. You can do that. That's doable. So you have 1 bet that you lost and then 1 that you might still win. It's hard to be able to pick 4 things correct or 5 things correct, man. You know, it's not one of those things that's easy. I can give you my best expertise, but, you know, even sometimes, you know, those things may or may not pan out. I mean, that's why it's betting, right? And a big tackle there by the Ducks on that D-line front. 2nd down and 1 turns down to 3rd down and 1. Great defense there by Oregon. Nah, I mean, Jay, you haven't been paying attention. You know, we had the Brandon Roy era with Greg Oden and LaMarcus. We had the Jailblazer era. And obviously, recently with the team now, you know, Dame is back, but he's injured, right? And Scoot had a little bit of an injury as well. But, you know, it's not about being, you know, the best in the West. No one's going to expect that from the Blazers. But, you know, to be able to make the playoffs, if you're actually a fan, you know, that's what they're looking for. And Yang looks like he might be the steal of the draft. So, you know, not every team is going to be, you know, a Ducks or a Dodgers or, you know, a top tier squad. You know, sometimes when you root for a team, they're going to be, you know, on the outside looking in, and maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they don't, like the Kraken and Blazers. But, you know, I think that they are going to have a good chance to make a little bit of noise this year. Floater going deep, got a man, and overthrows his wide open man down the sideline. How did he do that? Kalakamanis, unbelievable. I mean, that was a touchdown, no question. Burnt the corner. I'm not sure if the corner slipped or if that was just a great route, but the corner is like 10 yards, 15 yards behind, and that ball is overthrown. Not a DB in sight, and that was a terrible throw there. That easily could have been 6 for Rutgers and the first touchdown for them. Second down and 10 for Kalakamanis. Man in motion. Handoff up the middle. And a gain of about 3 or 4 there by Benjamin. Yeah, but this is the first time for me that, you know, I got 3 teams that are my primary that are all like championship contenders: Mariners, Ducks, and Buccaneers. And this is the first time they've all been good at the same time in maybe 25 years, you know, since like 2000, 2001. So, you know, and I still think that the Blazers and Kraken will be better than expected. So, you know, to have my 5 teams being, you know, pretty decent at this point, even though it's early, obviously for the NHL season and NBA regular season hasn't started just yet. Handoff up the middle. And Benjamin on a short run there on 3rd down and 6. And I assume that they're going to punt at this point based off the field position. UCLA up 7-3 on Maryland. And great to see, you know, the new coach, you know, do such a great job. And when you beat Penn State, you know, you're doing great things. Neuheisel's son doing big things there at UCLA. 4th down and 3, going for it, caught it, first down, Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Kalakamanis pass complete to Sheffield for 11 yards, down to the Oregon 33. Move the chains. Yeah, you know, and again, we're nowhere near. The West is so deep and competitive, you know, but at this point, when you already kind of know where your team is sitting, you know, it's all about just getting in, you know, even if that means you're the 8th seed in the NBA or you're the last spot in the NHL playoffs, you know, it's like, it's not like the Blazers and Kraken have been top tier teams, even though the Kraken did make the playoffs a couple years ago. The Blazers haven't been championship contenders in quite some time. Floater going long and deep, double covered. Whoa! Broken up at the last minute by the Oregon secondary. Big hit there. Black, the intended receiver for Kalakamanis. Ben Black. Wow. And that was one-on-one coverage down the sideline. And he has it, comes down, and just drops it as he sees the safety over the top come in late. Great job by the defense there. No, I live in Oregon. You know, I root for all my teams are in Oregon and Washington. The only reason I root for Tampa is because I'm a defensive-oriented fan. And, you know, in the mid-'90s, I didn't really have a connection to the Hawks or the Raiders or the Niners or the Chargers. They didn't really have the defensive guys that I kind of connected to. And then when Sapp and Brooks were drafted in 95, Lynch was already there. Mike Alstott is my kind of guy, and it fit my personality better. And that's the only team outside of Oregon and Washington and the Pacific Northwest that I root for. So now, if the Legion of Boom was in existence in the mid-'90s, yeah, maybe I would have been a Hawk fan, or if the Niners would have had better defensive guys. I mean, I did love Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, but I didn't want to be a Niner bandwagon fan, you know. And I had a feeling that they weren't going to ever win, you know, after Steve Young, and I was right. So I think everything worked out. 3rd down and 10 at the Oregon 33, as Raymond has a no gain on 2nd down. Kalakamanis looking, spin move, and 2 Duck players collide into each other after a beautiful spin move by Kalakamanis. But now it's 4th down again. But I have been a Tampa fan since 95, so I have been a fan for 30 years. So, I mean, all the teams I've been a fan of either since the 80s or the 90s, obviously besides the Kraken, because they've just been in existence for a few years. But most of my teams have, you know, I've been a fan of 30 to 40 years. So. Yeah, well, beast mode, that was like, you know, 15 years ago when I started, being a fan of the NFL. I mean, that was back when, you know, I was 3, 4, 5 years old in the 80s. And then I didn't really pick a team. I mean, I like Joe Montana. I like Jerry Rice. I like Bo Jackson, Bo Knows. I love Barry Sanders, and I love Dion, you know, but I just didn't want to be a bandwagon fan, you know, and hop on a certain team that was good back then. So I had to wait for, you know, the proper connection of guys. And I like physical, you know, hard-hitting football. You know, if you talk a little shit and back it up, I don't mind, you know, and also I like the guys that are humble too. So, you know, Sapp was kind of the shit talker. Derek Brooks was more of the humble guy, but they ended up both being Hall of Famers. John Lynch was a hard hitter. Rondé Barber was great. Mike Alstott, you know, you haven't seen a fullback play like him since him. You know, I do appreciate great football, you know, great defenses as well. 85 Bears, the Bears, 2000 Ravens, 2002 Bucks. And obviously the Legion of Boom was great. But, you know, that was, you know, like 15 years ago-ish, you know, 10, 15 years ago in that kind of window. So, you know, and obviously if I had to select my team, that was, you know, back in 95. So. Yeah, and it's cool to be able to have Huskies and Ducks on the Buccaneers too. You know, Bucky Irving and Tez Johnson from the Ducks, Vita Vea, Jalen McMillan from the Huskies. So I feel really blessed to, you know, have a team like the Buccaneers that recognize the talent from Oregon and Washington. So that way I can watch my favorite guys, you know, continue to do their thing. And not only that, I got the MVP of the league this year, Baker Mayfield. No Bucky Irving, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, no Emeka Egbuka. You know, how many teams could be, you know, 5-1 with no RB1, wide receiver 1, 2, or 3, and having injuries on the O-line in the secondary? Baker is, you know, playing fantastic football, and that's the exact type of personality of a quarterback that fits me well. So, you know, he's passionate, you know, and, you know, he's matured since he's, you know, married and had a kid, and he's exactly who we want as a quarterback for Tampa moving forward. And hopefully the Mariners end up winning against the Blue Jays tomorrow, because the Bucks play the Lions on Monday night, and that's a challenge. That's definitely a game that the Bucks could lose, but even with all the injuries that we have, I do believe that we can win that game and we can contend. So really looking forward to hopefully doing the Mariner game tomorrow. They win. They go to their first World Series against the Dodgers. Then we do the Buccaneers and Lions on Monday night, and it is a doubleheader. The second game, I believe, is the Hawks and the Texans. So, but we're only going to do one game. And now, obviously, if the Mariners lose tomorrow, then we're going to be doing Game 7 instead of the Bucks and Lions, because that'll be more important, you know, based on, you know, the precedence of making the World Series, Blue Jays or Mariners. All right, we got a 2-minute warning, 35-3. Kalakamanis steps up in the pocket, throws into the middle of the field, little short post route, and complete. it's cool to see Baker get love, because when Baker was losing, they said he was cocky and arrogant, because you weren't winning games. Now he's doing the exact same thing, and then they're calling him, oh, he's a dog, he's got swagger. Everything changes when you win, and again, the players will run through a wall for Baker, and it shows. And Baker's great at rushing, the football this year. And, it's nice to be able to see Dante Moore and a few of these other guys do the similar type of thing as well. All right. Take care, Megan. Thank you so much for your support. And I'll keep tabs on the Kraken as well. 1-1 so far. Hopefully they can get the win. Yeah. Ibuka obviously has the hammy, but looking like, rookie of the year. Tyler Warren for the Colts looks pretty damn good too. And a short run towards that sideline. And we're going to see if we can get one more field goal before half or a touchdown here. 10-7 USC over Notre Dame. Awesome. Tabs on that game as well. Appreciate you. I'm glad you had a fantastic trip. And thank you for your support. 6 completions for 159 yards and 3 tutties for the Ducks in the first half. Someone pinch me. But again, Rutgers 3-3. They're not Indiana, and obviously 0-3 in Big Ten. This is a game that we should be able to blow out an opponent on the road. But again, anytime you lose to a team that is top 3 in the country the previous week, you don't really know how the football team is going to show up. And Moore goes deep, 1-on-2, and incomplete towards the sideline. Malik Benson, the intended receiver, incomplete. And obviously, Ibuka is great. Tyler Warren is great. And McMillan, obviously for the Panthers, he might have a bad attitude and might be a little bit kind of a selfish type of receiver. But a lot of receivers are a little selfish and a little bit of a diva. But he's been playing pretty damn well also with Bryce Young. So there's a few rookies that have started to pan out so far early in the season. 3rd down and 9. Moore, floater, wide open, down to the 40, the 30. Can they catch him? Stiff arm, and down to the 15. First down, Oregon. Wow. Johnson with the catch. Jamari Johnson, my goodness, the Bucks are so deep. I mean, luckily we got, a few other guys like with Rashad and Sean that can back up Bucky, but, to be able to not have your RB1, wide receiver 1, 2, and 3, O-line, banged up, secondary banged up, and Baker's winning games the way he is, incredible year that he's having. And you got to think, to take over for Brady, not going to be an easy thing to do. And Baker has handled it with grace. And there's not too many quarterbacks that I would want over Baker Mayfield. I mean, obviously there's guys that are incredible talents, like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts and whatnot. But Baker fits the mentality and the personality of Tampa football to a T. A little bit, grimy, a little gritty, a little raw on the edges, got that swagger and that edge and kind of an aura and vibe, and won't back down. And that's exactly what we need, especially in a very competitive NFC. 5-yard penalty there on a shotgun set, rush up the middle there. And a penalty there on Rutgers and Greg Schiano. 1st down and 5 at the Rutgers 10. Yeah, all I do is live games. That's all I do. Live play-by-play and reactions, based on live links, through, using my email through the cable provider, and then, watching it live on whatever network it's on. Fox Sports 1, Big Ten Network, ABC, CBS, ESPN. So everything I do is live. Another flag on the play, potentially against Rutgers here. Offsides on the defense. And shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. My boy. First down and goal at the Rutgers 5. And, when you start to break out and you can actually, get those, bigger numbers, it really does make a difference. Hitting 10,000 to 60,000. And, I'm looking forward to hitting 100,000 on a stream at some point, either this year or next year. Floater to the back of the end zone, incomplete. I hear my pup at the door whining, so we're going to let Paisley in. All right, second and goal here at the Rutgers 5. Let's see if we can punch in one more touchdown, and if not, let's get a field goal for Brooks for his bet so he can win. Rutgers defense is getting tired out there. Second and goal, shotgun set, floater, back shoulder fade, incomplete. Third and goal. Oh yeah, Jay. Unbelievable athlete, and again, Buka, the number one receiver in Ohio State history. He'll be the number one for the Bucs when Mike Evans retires, possibly this year, after this year is over. And Godwin is getting close to retiring as well. And we got Jalen McMillan, but he's got a neck issue where he landed on his neck in preseason. So we're definitely looking like we're setting ourselves up for success for the future. But I would love all the guys to play together at some point. Third and goal. More, wide open. Touchdown, Oregon. And that's another touchdown. Noah Whittington in the flat. And just like that, 41-3 Ducks. Let's go. And let's see if Whittington hangs on to the football. Looks like he keeps his hands underneath. Mike in the building. What's good? I mean, this is a great bounce back performance for the Ducks after losing, to Indiana at home. Definitely not the same type of opponent, and that's one thing, with college football that you would want a little bit more of is more, quality matchups that you only get once every few weeks. Extra point is up and good. It's like 1 week you play a top 5 or top 10 team, and then you play another team the next week that might not be even ranked in the top 50. So obviously there is a little bit of a discrepancy, from week to week. And again, there's so many teams in college football, over 100 Division I, compared to 32 teams in the NFL. But again, you're not going to hear me complain after losing to Indiana last week and dropping, 5 spots. And, now number 8. And we want to climb back up into the top 5. And, what's the best way to climb up into the top 5? Beating the brakes off your opponent and hoping that a few other teams in the top 5 lose, like Miami. So nice job by Louisville on doing that. And can't wait for tomorrow as well. Hopefully the Mariners get the job done, so that way we can do the Buccaneers and Lions on Monday night. I've had that one circled on the calendar for a few weeks, but if the Mariners lose with Logan Gilbert tomorrow, we will be doing Game 7 over the Buccaneer-Lion matchup. It's the first of a doubleheader for the NFL and the last doubleheader of the NFL season, I believe. And then it's the Seahawks and the Texans, I believe, is the second game of the doubleheader. So, yeah, Cal with the big home run in the 8th, and Eugenio Suarez with the grand salami, the biggest home run in Mariner history last night. Pretty special. Yeah, I like all of Brooks' stuff. Like I said, I'm his biggest fan. And again, in my free time, obviously we, listen to the music as the background music on the channel. But in my free time, I don't even listen to any other artists. I just listen to all the creations that he's been making over the last few months. And I love seeing my friends win. I love seeing my friends succeed. They have dreams and goals, and I will always support my friends to the very end. You got an extra point there, so you just need a few more. Hopefully you get the field goal in the second half. And I assume with them running the football, there will be an opportunity to get a field goal in the second half for Sappington. So, and we got about 29 seconds left here in the second quarter. No, they're not just good, Sarah. They're amazing. Like, again, there's a lot of beat makers that are out there, ones that are on YouTube or SoundCloud. But what's one thing that a lot of beat makers, have? They have a pattern to be able to make beats that all sound similar. So if you can actually be a guy or a girl that can make beats that are completely different from one for the next, that really makes you show out and, it singles you out and shows the talent that you really have. And again, there's a lot of talented beat makers that are out there on planet Earth, but the creativity and the skill set that Brooks has, there's not very many that are on his level, and his time is coming. And again, it took me, quite a few years. I've been doing this for 13 years. This is my 9th year on YouTube, and I finally have been able to break out. Next year will be 14 years streaming, 10 years on YouTube, and I know he's been doing the beat making 16, 17 years, and you just never know where your niche is going to be. Is it going to be in commercials? Is it going to be in movies? Is it going to be for a rapper or an R&B artist? Is it going to be background beats on YouTube? Probably not something that he initially thought where his music was going to go. But again, if you're talented and you work hard, eventually you're going to be able to find the right people to link with, and you'll be able to make your dreams come true. And I know that's going to happen for my boy Brooks as well. We got 12 seconds left here in the second quarter, 42-3, Oregon. A field goal or 3 more touchdowns. I'm not sure if you're going to get the 3 touchdowns, but I mean, it is possible. Usually Dan Lanning doesn't like to run the score up. So it's like, we're not going to get into the 80s, but it is possible to get into the 60s or the 70s. And we're already at 42. So we'll see where it goes. And there's a good chance that we do score, 2 to, 4 more touchdowns in the second half and maybe a field goal here and there. So I think you have a good chance of still winning. And Rutgers with the punt here. And that's fair caught around the 34-yard line. I assume that we are going to take a knee here. I mean, unless Dante Moore ends up wanting to throw one deep and we try to get a cheap field goal for Brooks here right before halftime. But there's only 5 seconds left, so you're not going to have time for the field goal, unfortunately. So, maybe just hand the ball off or, just take a knee and then we'll go into halftime. But Miami ended up losing, and Ole Miss lost. So number 2 and number 5 lost. And number 7, Oregon will be in the top 5 after this win. Well, Mike, Randy's problem isn't it with fly balls. He ended up robbing a home run last night. His problem is ground balls, so. Handoff up the middle and a short gain and tick, tick, tick. And that is halftime. 42-3, Oregon. Let's go. All right, I got to go feed my pup. My pup wants dinner. So obviously they'll be showing highlights of the matchups from earlier today. I'll be back in like a minute or two, and then we will get back into the action. We'll listen to more amazing beats by Brooks, and I'll be back here in just one moment. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's go, baby. Let's take a look to see where we're at on the sub count as they interview Lanning here. And it looks like we gained 2 more. And we need 81 subs to get to 23,200. We recently hit 23,000 plus subs, 5.1 million views. Next goal will be 25,000 subs and 10 million views. And let me go take care of my pup, and I will be right back. Nice job by Noah Whittington early in the first half. Let's take a look at some of the stats here for the Oregon Ducks and how the game kind of played out to start off the matchup. My pup decided to go take a nap and whatnot, so I don't want to disturb her when she comes in here again in the second half, and I imagine she'll be hungry. So Patel with a 51-yard field goal that started off the game. And obviously on the first drive, we had a screen pass to Gary Bryant Jr. He did a spin move. He got popped. The ball went up in the air. They had 3 incomplete passes. And then Patel hit the field goal, 3-0 Rutgers. And anytime you end up losing to a top 10 team in Indiana, and then you go on the road, you don't really know what you're going to get. And sloppy start on the first drive, but we only gave up 3. And that's where this score sits right now at halftime, 42-3. And then we just went off. Noah Whittington with a 68-yard pitch to the left side, and he was untouched, scrambling and gambling. And that ended up being a tutty, 7-3 Oregon. Dante Moore to Kenyon Sadiq with a post route, 30-yard touchdown with Sappington's extra point, 14-3. Then Dante Moore to Sadiq again with a 21-yard reception for a tutty, 21-3. Then Dante Moore to DeCorian Moore, the 5-star specialist, the best athlete that we've had since DeAnthony Thomas, LaMichael James. He gets into the end zone with a 34-yard grab, 28-3. Whittington again with a 28-yard scamper, 35-3. And then Dante Moore to Noah Whittington again for 5 yards. And it ends up being 42-3. So, and it looks like on that last touchdown, they ended up replacing Sappington with one of the other kickers. I don't know if Sappington is hurt. Oh, hopefully not. And hopefully we can get a few more touchdowns for Brooks. One more field goal, but if it's not from Sappington, then it doesn't matter. But we're a little bit weird that the backup kicker kicked the extra point for that last touchdown before halftime. So I'll have to monitor that. But hopefully the Ducks will get to at least 63, so that way that you'll be good to go. Go Ducks, baby. Gained another sub, 80 subs to go to 23,200. Let's go, baby. A&M 38, Arkansas 35, Washington State at halftime up 17-7 on Virginia. Texas up 7-0 on Kentucky. Bama up early on Tennessee, 7-0 at the end of the first. And then USC 10-7 lead in the second quarter with 14:53 to go. So see how that all plays out. We're at $25 on the Dono train, 75 to go to hit the goal. All right, we're at 23 on the likes. Let's see if we can get to at least 50 before the stream ends. Unless we get a little bit of a spark. But obviously this matchup is not going to be as must-see TV compared to the Indiana-Oregon matchup, where we ended up hitting almost 60,000 people. So, and a lot of people want to come in and just talk trash, obviously when the streamer's team is losing or about to lose. So, that kind of comes with the territory. People love seeing people miserable or their teams losing rather than their teams winning. And, I had a feeling that this game would be a blowout, but I did not expect 42-3 at half. I can be honest with that. So. Let him know, Mike. 42-3 at halftime. Oregon up on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. As we listen to some amazing background music, we'll throw up some HD 4K photos, go over some of the scores, and we will be back into the action here just momentarily. Yeah, me too. Glad that they showed up, and I was a little nervous if it was going to be like 0-10 in the first half, and then they would have to make adjustments and get the job done in the second half, or they were just going to go off. But I didn't really think that they were going to go for 42. I thought maybe the max that they would get in the first half would maybe be 20. But they definitely doubled that very quickly. Saying special player for the Buckeyes. We got a few special players too, though. All right, I got to see this USC Notre Dame highlights. What do we got here? Ooh, back shoulder fade on Notre Dame, double coverage. It's a big touchdown for the Trojans. Wow. And a nice touchdown there by Notre Dame. 14-10, Fighting Irish. That one should be definitely a back and forth battle for sure. We got about 7 or 8 minutes before halftime is concluded, and then we'll be back into the action. Iowa up 10-7 on Penn State. That would be a good win for Iowa. Obviously, Penn State is reeling, and, you know, when you end up firing your head coach in the middle of the year, not a good look. Wow, great run there by UCLA. It's not how you start, it's how you finish in college football. You know, your coach can get fired, and then you just got to be able to make the right adjustments. So, all Oregon, all day, every day. I'm going to go check up on my pup here one more time, and we should be good to go here in the next few minutes, and we'll be into the second half, into the third quarter here momentarily. We're just getting ready to get back into the second half. 42-3 Oregon. And we'll see if we can continue to kind of put the pressure on. And obviously we're not going to, score 80 or 90, but getting into the 60s and 70s is possible. And, hopefully we can hold Rutgers to, under 17 points. But, being up by this much, you would assume that Lanning will end up putting in some of the second, third, fourth, fifth string guys. And anytime you end up bringing backups in, then obviously there's going to be more yardage given up and potentially more points scored. But to be able to put up a 42 by halftime, great start, to be able to kind of put that Indiana loss in the rearview mirror and keep looking forward. And with 3 teams in the top 10 losing, Oregon should move up into the top 5, no problem. So. Banger after banger after banger. Brooks Beats, the best beats on YouTube. Beautiful stuff, man. I think we got maybe one more commercial or two, and then we'll be back in on the action. And if you're just tuning in, to the stream, obviously the game didn't really start off, on the right foot. With the screen pass to Gary Bryant Jr., he hit a spin move, got popped. The ball went in the air. It was intercepted and recovered. 3 incomplete passes by Rutgers, and then that turned into a field goal for Patel, and that was really the only thing that Rutgers was able to do for the whole first half. After that, Noah Whittington ended up getting a pitch to the left sideline, scampered for 68 yards, untouched for a touchdown, 7-3 Oregon. Then Dante Moore to Kenyon Sadiq with a post, 14-3 Oregon. Dante Moore to Sadiq again with another back shoulder fade post route, 21 yards, 21-3 Oregon. Dante Moore to DeCorian Moore, 34 yards, 28-3 Oregon. And then Noah Whittington with a 28-yard scamper, 35-3 Oregon. And then right before halftime with about a minute to go, 43 seconds to be exact, Dante Moore to Noah Whittington, 5-yard rush. And that ended up being 42-3 Ducks. And tomorrow's schedule, we will be doing the ALCS game number 6 between the Seattle Mariners versus the Toronto Blue Jays. If the Mariners win one more game, they will be going to the World Series for the very first time in the team's existence. The Dodgers already punched their ticket against the Brewers, sweeping them 4 games in a row, with the Brewers only scoring 2 runs total in 4 games. And Shohei Ohtani had 10 Ks as a pitcher and 3 home runs. I mean, if Shohei isn't an alien, I don't know what is. Crazy performance. And again, we know that whoever wins between the Blue Jays and the Mariners will be a heavy underdog, a David and Goliath type of story against the Dodgers, who are going to back-to-back World Series. But again, if you get in, you're going to have a chance. And maybe a small chance, but I think we match up Mariners better than the Blue Jays do against the Dodgers. And, I don't think that we would get swept. I think we could win a minimum of 1 or 2. But if we can steal a game or 2 in the series early, who knows? Anything could happen, I mean, obviously, it would be a very low percentage of winning the World Series against the Dodgers, maybe 5 to 10%. But again, 5 to 10% is better than 0. So, we'll see where it goes. But definitely the Dodgers are the hotter team of the 2. I don't know if he is hurt or not. I just was looking, and they actually had the backup kicker kick the extra point for that last touchdown. So if Sappington isn't coming back in, you're going to need 3 touchdowns to be able to hit your bet, I think. And Sappington usually doesn't get hurt unless they're deciding to go with the backup because we're up by so much. But I haven't heard anything just yet. I'm looking to see if there's anything on like the injury report or anything here on the broadcast, but it's not common that Sappington doesn't kick. So that was a little odd. Betting, man, it's like the sports betting world, for whatever reason, they always have it, it's like Vegas always wins, they always have, certain things put in place to make it so difficult to win money. Because if it was easy to win money on sports betting, obviously everyone would do it, and even though everyone feels lucky, as we know, it's very difficult to do. Even myself, with all the reading and the film study that I do, even I don't do it. And I mean, I can come up with some ESP predictions 2 to 8 times every stream, but I don't know, maybe I just feel like I'm going to jinx it if I end up betting on something that I think. So yeah, Tez will have some fantasy implications because there's a chance that we have no Evans, no Godwin, and no Ibuka. Obviously Evans will and Godwin will be, and Ibuka will be like game time decisions and whatnot, but it wouldn't shock me if all 3 of those guys miss the game against the Lions. And if that's the case, then Tez will, have an opportunity to possibly hit the end zone or get some yardage for the Bucs. All right, here we go. And Sappington kicks off, so he's not hurt. So he's out there. So I don't know if he, just needed a breather or, something happened with his shoe and they just brought the backup in there to, get a chance to kick. But Sappington kicking off is a good look there for you, Brooks, as far as what you're looking at possibly getting with everything lining up. All right, here we go, baby. First down and 10. And off up the middle. Bouncing it to the outside. Breaks one tackle, but not the next. And that's a short gain there for Rutgers on first down. Antoine Raymond run for 3 yards to the Rutgers 28. Second down and 7. Here early in the third quarter. Ducks up by 39, 42-3. And that definitely feels good after the tough loss against the Indiana Hoosiers, who are a very good football team this year. Trips left, 4 wide receiver set here for Rutgers and the Scarlet Knights. Play action fake, throw to the sideline, complete. KJ Duff with the reception. First down, Scarlet Knights, move the chains. Calicamanus to KJ Duff for 14 yards, down to the Rutgers 42. First down, Scarlet Knights. Man in motion. Shotgun set. Calicamanus hands off and runs into 4 or 5, now 6 Ducks. And whistle is blown. Was he? That is possible. That is possible that he had to use the tent. They got little pop-up tents where you can go to the bathroom. You don't even have to go into the stadium anymore. They have them on the sideline for like injuries and bathroom purposes. Separate tents, obviously. 3-yard run there by Raymond to the Rutgers 45. Second down and 7. Man in motion. Shotgun set. Handoff up the middle. No. Little play action bootleg. Throw to the sideline. Incomplete. Calicamanus pass incomplete. 3rd down and 7 at the Rutgers 45. Yeah, make sure you're monitoring Ebuka because he's got a hammy. He may not play. Him, Evans, and Godwin. So make sure you're looking at the injury report and watching early because they might not be in there at that point. Pass incomplete across the middle of the field with that crossing route. Good defense there by the Ducks secondary. And this should potentially turn into a punt for Rutgers. And plus the game is on at Monday, so you have to be kind of careful. Obviously if you have other options, that are on Sunday, waiting until Monday is kind of a risk. If a guy plays or doesn't play, depending on who you have on your bench for fantasy football. So, but good luck with that. Hopefully it works out. And I do think the Bucs have a good chance of winning that game against the Lions. The Lions are a good team, but guess what? The Bucs are too. A lot of the, quote unquote experts that do power rankings have the Bucs at number 1. And I don't think I've seen the Bucs at number 1 in the NFL from anybody in a long, long time. I mean, obviously, even in the Tom Brady era, it wasn't even really a common thing to see Bucs rated 1, that often, but we'll take it. And Anderson with the punt, 42 yards, fair caught by Gary Bryant Jr. at the Oregon 13, 42-3 Ducks. And shout out to my boy Brooks Beats, the best beats on YouTube. Commercial break. And after we come back from the break here, hopefully Oregon will be able to get a quick touchdown. Will it be to Noah Whittington? Dante Moore looking for his targets? Could be. Dan Lanning is the man. Could it be DeCorian Moore with another tutty? Possibly. You know, and again, we have plenty of options with our players. We will wait and see. Kevin in the building. What's good? .12:40 left in the third quarter. 42-3 Ducks. How's it going, my guy? Much better outcome here, but obviously, you know, Rutgers is not in the same playing field as Oregon. You know, and again, Oregon should be able to win a majority of the rest of the games on the schedule. And, you know, it really comes down to how will Oregon play in the college football playoff. You know, obviously Indiana, top 10 in offense, defense, and special teams. They kicked our ass last week, and they deserved to win. You know, we only had one sack given up all year. We gave up 6. You know, offensive line got dominated. Defensive line got dominated. Dante Moore got dominated. He looked confused out there. You know, Indiana is a great team this year. And, you know, going in on the schedule, it looked like that Penn State game might be the, you know, game that we potentially could lose. Found a way to win. And then apparently we broke James Franklin because then they started losing games to UCLA and other low-end opponents, and he got fired. But we know the Buckeyes obviously are fantastic. Indiana is great this year as well. And, you know, we just want to be able to have an opportunity to be in the college football playoff, and, you know, we'll see where the chips fall. But based on Oregon's talent level and coaching, you know, top 3 coach in college football, you know, great offense, great defense, great special teams. You know, it's just going to be one of those things. How can we lock in, you know, against good opponents at the end of the year? All right, here we go. First down and 10 as Sadiq was kind of hobbling there on the sideline. Handoff up the middle. Go, baby, go. Go, baby, go. The 50, the 40, the 30. My God. First down, Oregon. What a scramble. Davison with the big scamper right up the middle. Great blocking up front. 67-yard run by Jordan Davison down to the Rutgers 20. First down, Ducks. Move the chains. Unbelievable. Blocking up front from the O-line is fantastic. Go Ducks, baby. Shotgun set for Dante Moore. Handoff up the middle again with a big juke. Touchdown, Oregon. Jordan Davison. Back-to-back touches for 67 yards and 20 yards. And just like that, we're in the end zone again. Let's go. Davison, great blocking up front, a hat on a hat by the wide receivers and the O-line. Unbelievable. .48-3 Oregon. Beautiful. Extra point is up and right down the middle, and it's good. 49-3. Let's go. Great job by the offensive line with that blocking up front. Jordan Davison, 67 yards, for a big scamper right up the middle, and then they go right back to him again. 20-yard touchdown run right up the middle. 49-3 Oregon. Great play calling by Dan Lanning. Great execution on that O-line. And hopefully the defense will be able to get a fumble or a pick or some type of big play on that opposite side of the ball. But, exactly the type of win that we needed after we've had three, top 10 teams lose in the AP top 10. So even though Oregon is ranked 8th right now, they will be in the top 5, obviously, after this win. And then hopefully at some point we'll be able to climb into the top 3. But again, it's going to take a little bit of work, to be able to get back to that position. So, but if other teams around, start dropping games, then obviously there'll be a little bit of an opening, based on the standings and whatnot. So Ohio State, Miami lost. Indiana is at 3. They'll move up to 2. A&M, Ole Miss lost. Alabama, Texas Tech, Oregon, Georgia, LSU. So there'll definitely be a little bit of wiggle room there. In this game or like in for the season? All right, backup kicker kicks off for 65 yards for Oregon. First down and 10 at the Rutgers 25. First down and 10, handoff up the middle for Rutgers, and a nice run, trying to do exactly what Jordan Davison did on our previous drive. First down, Scarlet, nice, move the chains. Nice job by Benjamin with that run right up the middle. Good protection up front with their offensive line. Shows he has 1 season played for Oregon, 31 carries, 150 yards, 5 catches, 9 yards, scored 7 tutties. But I'll have to look on StatMuse real quick. And I can see here, so it looks like 7, and he just scored. So, and a nice hit right up the middle there. And let me look to see what he has today. Obviously, that was his first touchdown that he just got because it was all Whittington and Decory Moore. So I believe if everything is updated right now, I believe 8 touchdowns. Yeah, he's a freshman, so. Kalakamanis there, getting that first down on that 3rd down and 2, diving for that first down marker. First down and 10 for Rutgers on the Oregon 43. Yeah, so I believe 8 touchdowns for a freshman. Hill has been an amazing player as well. I mean, we have so much talent on this roster. It's ridiculous. First down and 10 at the Oregon 43. Kaliakmanis. Play action fake. And it's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a duck sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. 3 Oregon Ducks in his grill. And down he goes. Purchasing company there on Kaliakmanis. Second down and 14 after a loss of 4 in that big sack lunch from that Duck defensive front. Greg Schiano looking in disbelief over there on the sideline, but obviously he knew what he was getting into going against Oregon here today. 5 tackles for loss for Oregon. Second down and 14. Kaliakmanis on the shotgun set, throw to the sideline, tipped and incomplete. Third down and 14. Intended receiver was KJ Duff for the Scarlet Knights. Yeah, I don't know if we've ever had this many talented freshmen on Oregon ever. It's a very special group, even though we lost to Indiana, last week. Dan Lanning, by far is one of the best coaches, motivators, and recruiters. Top 3 coach in the game. We know Ryan Day and Kirby Smart are great as well, but I wouldn't want, to trade Dan for anything, and hopefully Dan will lead us to a championship at some point. Intercepted! Let's go! Let's go. Big interception there on third down and 14. Oregon's uniforms are so clean. They even have marble on the helmets. Unbelievable. Flowers is there just waiting. Go Ducks, baby. Let's go. I mean, if we keep playing like this, they may not even get a touchdown. .37 left in the third quarter after that Flowers pick from the Oregon secondary. 49-3 in the third quarter. Go Ducks. Gain a couple more subs. 79 to go to 23,200. I think Lanning already is a legend. He already is putting us in a position, like Chip Kelly. And obviously, to go from Rich Brooks to Mike Bellotti, and then obviously to Chip Kelly, the innovator, got us to, Rose Bowl, it went Rose Bowl, Natty, Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, so, when you can go to a Rose Bowl, a Natty, a Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, it's a pretty special time, to go to 4 big games back when like the BCS era, existed. And, obviously we weren't able to win the Natty, even though I feel like that was the one that we should have won against Cam Newton. A little bit of bad luck there. We didn't really have a chance with the one with Mariota going against Ohio State, but the one against Auburn, that was one that we kind of let through, slip through our fingers a little bit. But, when you end up having a player, roll over on his back and his knees don't touch and he gets extra yards and then they get in field goal position, that was really the difference. If we just could have made one better, defensive play there, and then, maybe the outcome is different. But, you got to crawl before you walk. You got to lose before you win. And I think that Dan will do something that Chip was not able to do. I think Dan will, get us to a Natty. And at some point when we get to a Natty, we may not win the first time that we go, but I do believe if he stays, for like the next 10 years, we should be able to go to 1 or 2 Natties. And out of 1 or 2, hopefully we can win 1, so we don't need to be greedy and act like we're going to go 3 times and win every time. Like, we see how the talent level in college football is. And, I just want to be able to see the Mariners, get a pennant, and I want to see the Ducks win a Natty, so that way I can, enjoy my, obviously life, seeing my teams, be successful before it's too late. So 8:37 left in the third, 49-3 Oregon. First down and 10. Man in motion, shotgun set. Moore. Looking, decides to tuck it and run. Go, baby, go. The 50, the 40. Oh my, the 30, and sliding safe. Wow, what a run by Dante Moore. First down, Oregon. Dylan Gabriel could only wish and dream of doing something like that. And, we did the left-handed quarterback experiment, and Gabriel was kind of like Tim Tebow minus the running. It wasn't really, he had some smoothness to him. And obviously we've seen him on the Browns now, but again, Dante Moore is much better than Dylan Gabriel. Obviously a better runner, a better thrower. And again, it gives us a little bit more upside, as the season is going to progress. But when we played Ohio State in the college football playoff, it really wasn't Gabriel's fault that we lost. Defense couldn't handle Chip Kelly's play calling, and they absolutely obliterated us in that first quarter. No one expected to give up 28, in like the first quarter, and you already knew it was over after that. So, Jacob in the building, what's good? Wemby, nice. That's going to be a guy that's going to hit the stats for you night in and night out, as long as he doesn't get hurt. Second down and 4 at the Rutgers 25, 49-3, Ducks. Looking very good after getting obliterated by Indiana. And Hill with a run for 6 yards. First down, Ducks, but we got a flag on the play. I think it might be face mask. But nice 6-yard run by Hill. I really like Hill as a freshman running back as well. Gives me kind of Jonathan Stewart, LeGarrette Blount vibes. And when you can have a guy like that, got to feed him the rock. All right, we get face mask on the defense there. Ten-yard penalty with the face mask there by Jesse O'Fury. All right, first and goal at the Rutgers 9. Let's score again, baby. Let's go. Shotgun set by Dante Moore. Handoff up the middle. Good block towards the sideline. Look at that speed. Touchdown, Oregon. But there's a flag on the play. And let's see if there's holding on the Oregon offensive line there. We are so athletic. Jay Harris with that tutty, but that might be coming back. Let's see. Holding offense. Yep, coming back. First and goal now at the Rutgers 19. .648 left in the third quarter, and it's been a hell of a game up to this point for Oregon. Not so much for Rutgers, and if we can prevent them from scoring a touchdown before the game ends, that'll definitely help solidify our spot in the top 5, and maybe we can even climb up into the top 4. First and goal at the 19. Let's go Ducks. 4 wide receiver set, shotgun set for Moore. And intercepted by Rutgers. Wow. Jumped in front of that route. And that's a big pick. There by Miller, I believe. Wow. And you don't really see Dante Moore get picked off too often. Cam Miller with the pick. Just a great athletic play right there. And again, if you're going to clue, and you're great at cluing, staring at the quarterback's eyes, I mean, he pretty much just stared down his receiver there. And even though it was a pretty quick route that only was a couple seconds after he had the ball in his hands and he let it go, it was enough for, Cam Miller to get a good jump on that ball. And a big interception there by Rutgers. 49-3, 6:43 left in the third. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train. we're trying to gain 5 to 15 subs. Let's go. Got a commercial break here after that big interception. Just kind of look at some of the scores of some of the other matchups here today for college football Saturday. All right, so obviously we know it's 49-3 here with Oregon leading. Washington State up 20-10 on Virginia. That's surprising. And Washington State, the Cougs are on the road. Texas up 7-0 on Kentucky. But we already kind of know with some of the teams that were ranked at the top might have been overrated in the preseason poll, like Texas. Tennessee down to Alabama, 16-7. And then Notre Dame and USC in a slugfest, 14-13 with 1 minute left before halftime. Cam Miller with the big pick. And now it's 1st down and 10 for Rutgers. Handoff up the middle and a minimal gain there. Benjamin with the carry. 3-yard gain, 2nd down and 7. Ja'Shawn Benjamin, 3 yards to the Rutgers 18, 2nd down and 7 for the Scarlet Knights. 3 wide receiver set, shotgun set for Calicomanis, handoff up the middle and tripped up, and another short gain there. Benjamin run for 2 yards after getting tripped up by the Ducks. 3rd down and 5 at the Rutgers 20. Third down and 5 at the Rutgers 20. Shotgun set, 3 wide receiver set, pressure off the edge, throw to the sideline, and dropped. What happened to my hands? Incomplete. Intended receiver was Kenny Fletcher Jr. from Calicomanis, and that'll be a punt now for Rutgers. And Decorian Moore with the fair catch at the Oregon 42. All right, here we go. 1st down and 10 for Oregon. Let's see if we can get on the board here again. Man in motion. Shotgun set. Handoff. Down the sideline. God, we have such speed out there. And Jay Harris towards that sideline. 4-yard gain before he gets pushed out of bounds. 2nd down and 6 at the Oregon 46 with about 5 minutes left here in the 3rd quarter. Second down and 6 at the Oregon 46. Shotgun set, man in motion. Hand off to Harris. No, little screen pass to Harris. And breaks one tackle, runs over one Scarlet Knight, and then gets gang tackled. 12-yard run for Jay Harris. First down, Oregon. Move the chains. Harris and Hill with back-to-back plays there. Great job. 11-yard pass from Dante Moore to Deere Hale Jr. 11-yard gain after running over a couple players. What a dog. First down and 10 at the Rutgers 35. Love his game. And a little flip. Hill again. Go, baby, go. Go, baby, go. The 10, the 5. Touchdown, Oregon. God, he's good. I love me some Hill. Wow. Let's go. Beautiful. I mean, it's great to be able to have one freshman, Decorian Moore, but to be able to have, 3 or 4 that are that impact kind of guys that will run you over and have speed. Unbelievable. Nice job by Hill. But we got a flag on the play. Hopefully it's on Rutgers. Maybe a celebration penalty. Touchdown. We got an unsportsmanlike conduct on an offensive lineman. What happened? Alex Harkey, the guilty individual. Yeah, Hill has got the speed, but he's got the power too. He'll run you over, and then he can also run away from you. I don't know if we've seen a running back like him in a minute. We've had guys that are big, and then we've had guys that are fast, but he's like the combo, like Derrick Henry, a guy that's big, but then also once he starts rumbling, it's hard to bring him down, and it takes more than one guy typically, and sometimes he'll run away from you. And pretty amazing, man. I mean, I've been watching Oregon football for, 30, 40 years, and I don't know if I've seen a running back like this in a minute. I mean, Jonathan Stewart was badass, right? LeGarrette Blount, LaMichael James, all of them have different kind of, special skill sets, but gosh, Hill is special. Special squad that we have this year. 56-3 Ducks. Royce Freeman, yeah. He was a special back as well. I will agree with that. I mean, even going back to the days of Maurice Morris and Ontario Smith, with Joey Harrington and Justin Peel at tight end. And after that, George Reister, it's like we've always had, special players at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And, going back to the Keenan Howery, Sammy Parker days. I love that Joey Harrington team back then in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's really, even though I was following Oregon football in the 80s and the 90s, that was the team that really got me excited for the future of Duck football. In the late 90s, early 2000s, you could kind of see the potential that Oregon possibly could have with obviously Joey Harrington, and, to see where we're at now, 25 years later, pretty sweet. And Sappington kicks off, and Ben Black with a return of 25 yards to the Rutgers 42. First down and 10 at the Rutgers 42, 56-3 Ducks. Kenyon Barner, amazing running back as well. I agree with that. I was a little bit more of a LaMichael James guy myself. But I think Parker definitely was very underrated. Ended up being the RB2 with LaMichael, and then ended up being RB1 after LaMichael went to the NFL. But definitely a very special player too. I mean, it doesn't hurt that you have, Uncle Phil, Nike money, lots of people that are investing in Oregon, with the jerseys and the helmets and the cleats and, being able to have all of that, the great facilities. It's just a program that obviously is so desperate for a natty. And we know that a lot of the other big schools have a lot of money going in there as well, like Ohio State and Georgia and other powerhouses. And, hopefully we'll be able to have at least 1 year where we can look back and say, yeah, we were number one and we won a championship. 1 yard run there by Antoine Raymond to the Rutgers 48 on 3rd down and 4. And Calicaman is sacked by Jerry Mixon. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, I even got the LaMichael James natty jersey when we played Cam Newton in Auburn. Got the patch, from that particular bowl game and got it sewn on by a seamstress. And then even got the James sewn in on the back. And it's probably one of my favorite jerseys that I own, since it's like a custom one. Most college jerseys don't come with the name on the back. But I do have a limited edition Nike Joey Harrington one that they did only for a couple players that year, where you could actually buy a jersey with it being sewn and with the name stitched from Nike themselves. And, that one is a $200 to $300 jersey, the Joey Harrington. And I was lucky enough to get one off a guy in like Ohio, which probably didn't know what he had. And I ended up buying it for like $30, $40, and it's easily worth $200 to $300. The green one is common, but the white jersey for Harrington is super rare. So next time, do your research, but I'm glad I got a good deal. That's for damn sure. And now we got Brock Thomas into the game, hometown from Eugene, Oregon. The hometown kid, 5'11", just under 200. And we'll see what we get from him. Normally it's Moga, coming in as the backup, but handoff up the middle. But obviously when you're up by 53 points with, a minute left in the third roughly in a fourth quarter, you knew the backups were going to come in. So Ruben Drones. Yeah. I mean, you're really going old school back then too. Yeah. I mean, going back to the Chris Miller days, going back to the Tony Graziani days. I mean, I can name drop for days going back from the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. I mean, hell, I started watching the Ducks when they weren't even like a cool thing to watch. They were winning like 1 or 2 games a year, and to be able to see where they were and where they're at now, it's pretty special for sure. And a 2-yard run from Jay Harris, 2nd down and 8 at the Oregon 16, but we got a flag on the play. That was Jameis Winston. First down and 10, man in motion. Handoff up the middle. And I believe that was Jay Harris with a short run. Looked like about a 2-yard gain there. 2nd down and 8 at the Oregon 16. Shotgun set on 2nd down and 7. Little bootleg play action, check down. And Harris is there. 3rd down and short for Oregon. Achilles Smith. Not Achilles like the muscle. Herman Ho Ching, man, old school. And end of the third quarter, 56-3 Oregon. But we do have Achilles Smith Jr. on the roster, his son, so. All right, end of the third quarter, 56-3, Oregon. Third down and 1 at the Oregon 34. Let's take a look at some of the scores that we have in college football while we're on a commercial break. One more quarter to go, 56-3 Ducks. And with 3 teams losing in the top 10, we should be in the top 5, maybe as high as 4 by the time that the new rankings come out. Washington State up 2017 on ranked 18th Virginia. That's surprising. 7-3, Texas leading Kentucky, but Texas is not really that great this year. Alabama up 23-7 on Tennessee at home. That is a little shocking. You know, I think a lot of people assume that Alabama would win, but I don't think it would be that big of a lead. We'll see if Simpson can keep imposing his will on the Volunteers. And then Notre Dame up by 1 on USC, 14-13. And then BYU and Utah going at it 7-7 early in the second quarter with about 2 minutes to go before halftime. No, never tore his Achilles. I mean, he had injuries, but not Achilles injuries, though. All right, start of the fourth quarter. Let's go, baby. Let's finish strong. Complete game here. Third down and 1. Obviously, we got the backup quarterback in. Third string. Play action fake. Wow, what a catch and what a throw. First down, Oregon. Unbelievable. McClellan with the big catch there. Move the chains. Great job, Mike McClellan, with the route and with the hands. Handoff up the middle. Ooh, big hit there by Rutgers. Nice form tackle there on Jay Harris. We'll see if Brock Thomas can throw his first touchdown pass for the Ducks before this one is over. Yeah, good for Johnny to have Mike Evans at A&M, though. You know, when they went into Alabama and won, that'll be a memory that I'll never forget. 1 yard run for Jay Harris. Second down and 9 at the Rutgers 30. And we have a lot of backups now that are in the matchup since we're up by 53, which is obviously, something that you would expect at this stage of the matchup in the game. Second down and 9. Shotgun set, throw to the sideline, incomplete. Brock Thomas taps his chest, says that's on me. Got to throw a little bit more accurately towards the sideline there. Third down and 9 at the Rutgers 30. Let's see if Brock Thomas can do something positive here. I mean, usually it's Luke Moga who comes in as the backup, and we haven't seen Achilles Smith Jr., but we will see him at some point, either this year or next year. Shotgun set on 3rd down and 9. And a nice crossing route. But Rutgers is there. And now 4th down for Oregon. About 13 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. 56-3 Ducks, baby. Let's go. And it looks like it's 4th down and 5 for Brock Thomas. All right, they're going for a field goal attempt with their backup kicker. .44-yard attempt. And it is missed. Should have had Sappington in there. And kick is no good. Wide left. But again, when you have backups in, you have to expect some things not to go smoothly. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train. We're at 25.75 to go and 5 to 15 new subs. Let's go, baby. 12:43 left in the 4th quarter. 56-3 Oregon. And I'll be live tomorrow for the ALCS game number 6 between the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays. And if the Mariners end up winning that game, they go to their very first World Series in the team's existence. And then that'll open the door for me to do the Buccaneers and the Lions on Monday night. And I really want to do that game. I think that could go either way between the Bucs and the Lions. 2 of the best teams in the NFC with the Eagles and a few others. And it definitely will show, who is the better team, at least at this point in the year. Baker has had a lot of injuries, but if you look at, not having Bucky Irving, not having Mike Evans, not having Chris Godwin, not having Emeka Egbuka, and, having guys on the O-line and the secondary injured and still being 5-1 and being the number 1 team in the NFL and the front runner for MVP. I'm so proud of Baker and this team. And once we get fully healthy, we could end up being the best team in the NFC. But again, the Eagles are still a good team. The Lions are still good. You got the Rams and the Hawks and the Niners and the NFC West. And obviously, you still got the Green Bay Packers and a few others like the Falcons that are trying to find, their way throughout the season. So NFC, very, very competitive. And then obviously on the AFC side, Denver is starting to kind of show that they are one of the top dogs. The Colts and the Jags, the Steelers, even though they ended up losing to the Bengals and Joe Flacco. And then the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, even though they lost to Drake May and the Patriots. So, we're starting to see who the top dogs are in the NFL, just like we are in the college football season, but there's still a long season to go. And Benjamin with a 2-yard run for the Scarlet Knights, 2nd down and 8 for the Rutgers 28, and AJ is coming in as the backup here for Rutgers. Shotgun set and hands off up the middle, and like a cannon being fired out. Nice job there with that big tackle for loss. Great job, Ducks. Jayshon Benjamin, loss of 2 yards. Dylan Williams with the big tackle. We got Wisconsin at home, a bye, and then Iowa. I mean, there's going to be some games that will test us, but hopefully Oregon can stay clean the rest of the way. 3rd down and 10 at the Rutgers 26, and crushed immediately by Oregon. And that's a loss of 3. Benjamin Not finding any traction there, and Blake Purchase with the tackle. 4th down and 13 at the Rutgers 23, and Rutgers is about to punt. Blowout wins are great and all, when you end up getting them. Oh, and Oregon just fumbled on the punt return, and Rutgers recovers. And now this is the best position they've been in to possibly score their first touchdown of the matchup. You got to be better there. And obviously catching punts is not easy. And DeCorian Moore with the big fumble there. Got to be better. Normally that's, Gary Bryant, back there. But obviously Dak being a freshman out there, not going to be back there catching punts all the time, every once in a while. And ends up miscalculating the catch and a turnover for the Oregon Ducks. Not ideal. Shotgun set. Handoff up the middle, bouncing it to the outside by Benjamin. And hopefully we can hold them to a field goal. If we can prevent them from, getting a touchdown, that would be great. But 8-yard run there by Jayshon Benjamin to the Oregon 22 after the fumble by DeCorian Moore off the punt return. No, I don't think they have 200 yet. Total yards, 184. Ducks have 693. 335 yards passing. 358 yards rushing. They have 79 yards passing, 105 rushing. Holy cow. 693? And we got backups in? My, oh my. And a 4-yard run by Jayshon Benjamin. First down, Scarlet Knights. First down and 10 at the Oregon 18. About 9 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter with a lot of backups playing for both teams at this point. 56-3 Oregon. And a great bounce back win after losing to Indiana last week at home. And obviously Indiana and Rutgers are not on the same level of skill set, but still, a win is a win. And again, we'll be looking forward to Wisconsin, Iowa, and the rest of the teams that we got on the schedule. And hopefully we can end up going undefeated the rest of the way. That game in Seattle, the last regular season game against, Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, and Denzel Boston and the Huskies in Seattle will be challenging and a fun one. 3-yard run by Jayshon Benjamin to the Oregon 12. 3rd down and 4 at the Oregon 12-yard line. Come on, Ducks. Play some D here. One of the more lopsided wins that Oregon has had. And I know it was a rough week of practice after losing to Indiana, but we definitely showed up today on the road. And remember, if you ended up watching Oregon against Northwestern, again, Northwestern, not a good football team, but we went on the road and we didn't play very well, in the first half, played better in the second half. And I didn't know what to expect. This is the first time that we played Rutgers in the team's history. We've never played them before, and obviously 3-3, but sometimes you don't know how a team is going to respond after a loss or after a tough, matchup the previous week. 4th down and 1. And Benjamin. Did he get the first down? First down, Scarlet Knights. Barely got a yard there. 1st and goal. And hopefully we don't let him just walk into the end zone. Obviously Lanning would love to pride his team, on preventing, from them getting even a touchdown. but we will see. Let's see if we can hold them to a field goal, or even better, Jay, a turnover, a fumble or a pick right here on 1st and goal would be great, right? Pick 6 would be beautiful. Back shoulder fade. And caught out of bounds, incomplete. Great effort there, though. Two freshmen going at it there. 2nd and goal at the Oregon 7. Let's go Ducks. Play some D, baby. Second and goal at the Oregon 7. Shotgun set for Rutgers. Laser. And dropped. Wow. Poked away at the last minute by the Ducks. Lalea. Big defensive play. I mean, that looked like an easy tutty right there with a little slant route. And at the very last second, got his hand in there and was able to punch it out. Great job. I mean, and he was behind the defender. You know, he definitely got burnt on that play and then caught up at the last second and punched it out. Beautiful. 3rd and goal at the Oregon 7. Hold to a field goal. Baby. Come on, Ducks. Clock is ticking down. Shotgun set, and whistle is blown. Timeout is called by Greg Schiano. Yeah, I usually do Kraken and Blazers after the football season's over. So, and also baseball. So we still got the Mariners, you know, in the ALCS against the Blue Jays tomorrow. And if we win, we go to the World Series. But once baseball is done and then the NFL and college football is over, then we typically do NBA and NHL, you know, for about a month and a half as we wait for baseball to get started up again. So, you know, around February, you know, to mid to late March, that's when we end up doing the NHL with the Kraken and then the Blazers. Unless there's, you know, open days, you know, after baseball ends and, you know, we need filler streams, you know, when football season is still going, then we will do some Kraken and some Blazers. Or if it ends up being a really good matchup in the NHL or the NBA, we may possibly do that as well. So, but normally I don't really dive in a whole lot to the Kraken or the NHL or the NBA or the Blazers until those other things are done. So, but I have been watching the Blazers in preseason, and I watch most of the Kraken games. You know, they started off 2-0, then they lost in overtime on the road, and hopefully they'll be able to find a way to, you know, beat Toronto. Doing hockey commentary is a lot harder, though, because it's, you know, if they actually have, you know, the programming that is broadcasting the game and they show it like a video game where you can actually see the name of the player highlighted, you know, when they're skating on the ice, then it's a little bit easier to call, you know, a matchup, you know. But again, if you don't, you know, have that on screen, you know, it's really hard to be able to see who has, you know, the puck as it's going so quickly, you know, and whatnot. So definitely, you know, even if you know all the players and a lot of, you know, Slovakian, Czechoslovakian, Russian, a lot of foreign, you know, players that you really have to know pronunciation and enunciation. Definitely the hockey streams are a challenge, but depending on how it's broadcasted, sometimes it makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, we do Kraken and Blazers from time to time. But I'm not going to do Kraken over the Ducks, you know, or the Mariners or, you know, NFL games. Not at this point in the season, so. All right, 56-3, Oregon, third down and goal after the Greg Schiano timeout. And we'll see if the backups for Rutgers and the backups for the Ducks, who will be able to find a way to get the big play here. Sarace is the new quarterback here, the backup for Rutgers. And Ja'Shawn Benjamin, hands off, touchdown, Rutgers. And they get their first touchdown against Oregon here in the fourth quarter with 6:40 to go. 56-9, Rutgers. And it looks like it was originally going to be a pass, and then there was an audible there at the line. Went for a little halfback draw, halfback dive, and Ja'Shawn Benjamin with the big 7-yard scamper right up the middle. And now it's 56-9, Oregon. Seattle 3, Toronto 3 with 1:25 left in the third period. Let's go Kraken. Extra point is up and good. And obviously with the new, coach, for the Kraken, it feels like they're scoring more goals and they're a little bit more locked in than they were in previous years. So hopefully they make the playoffs this year. Yeah, I was really hoping for a stop there, but again, that was just a great call by Schiano and the backup quarterback there, Sarace. It was going to be a passing play at the very last minute. He audibled, went with a quarterback draw, halfback dive, and we already overcommitted at that point on the edges, and the middle of the field was kind of open, and it was good blocking up front. And again, it was against backups. What can you do? We got 6:40 left here in the fourth quarter. All right, I'm going to go get my pup some dinner. I'll be right back. Come on. Go Ducks, baby. 56-10 over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And we just gave up our first touchdown with backups. But Dante Moore, 15 for 20, 290 yards, 4 TDs, and only 1 pick. And we know that, Rutgers is not Indiana. But, we'll take any kind of win that we can get, especially after a tough loss the previous week. So, and we're on the road, and we've never played Rutgers before. So, they played the Huskies last week pretty well, and we're ahead of them at halftime. So I didn't really know what to expect. And there is a kickoff now to Oregon, and that ends up being a touchback. First down and 10 at the Oregon 25, and I imagine we're just going to be running the football, kind of just bleeding the clock out, and, we'll see if we get one more score before this one is over. 63-10 would be pretty sweet. That would have a good ring to it, and we will be in the top 5 in the AP poll after this win today, with 3 teams in the top 10 losing. So, and a handoff up the middle for a short gain. Good tackle there by the Scarlet Knights defense, and Riggs with the short gain for Oregon. And DeJuan Riggs with a loss of 3. Second down and 13 at the Oregon 22. We have almost 700 yards of offense, which is ridiculous. Shotgun set. Second down and 13. Handoff. Breaks one tackle. Breaks another. And fighting for yardage, but then goes down. Takes 3 Scarlet Knights to bring down Riggs, but we'll take that. DeJuan Riggs. Loss of 3, and then ends up gaining, 9, 10 yards, 11 yards? $11-yard gain by Riggs down to the Oregon 33. Third down and 2. Third down and manageable. And let's see if we can keep moving the chains here. Shotgun set. And quarterback keeper off the RPO. Wow. First down, Oregon. That was beautiful. Move the chains. Nice job by Brock Thomas, who normally is, third string. Luke Moga is usually second. So to get the third stringer some opportunity to play, pretty cool. Getting him a little bit of experience. Nice 15-yard RPO quarterback keeper by Brock Thomas. First down and 10 at the Oregon 48 here with only about 5 minutes to go in the fourth. Shotgun set to Thomas, hands off, up the middle. And another minimal gain there by the Ducks. It looks like Seattle and Toronto are going into overtime for the Kraken and the Maple Leafs. Go Kraken. About 4 minutes to go. 5-yard run by Riggs again to the Rutgers 47. Melanie in the building. What's good? Go Ducks. Much better of an outcome today than last week against Indiana. But obviously not the same type of talent level. But we'll take a win any way we can get one. Shotgun set to the third stringer, Brock Thomas. Hands it off again. And Riggs. First down, Oregon. Move the chains. 9-yard run there by Riggs to get to the Rutgers 38. About 3 minutes to go before this one is over here in the fourth quarter. And we will be doing the Seattle Mariners versus the Toronto Blue Jays ALCS game number 6. And if the Mariners win in Toronto tomorrow, we will be going to the World Series for the very first time in the team's existence. And I'm very looking forward to doing that game tomorrow. And then if they win that, then obviously on Monday night, we'll be doing the Buccaneers and the Lions. Really looking forward to that matchup. And again, if the Mariners lose tomorrow, then we'll be doing the Mariners and the Blue Jays on Monday night instead. So, but hopefully the Mariners get the job done. And that way we can do the Bucs and Lions on Monday night. Harris run for 9 yards right up the middle, scampering to the Rutgers 29. About 2 minutes to go here. Second down and 1 for Brock Thomas. Second down and 1. Handoff. Oh, breaks to the sideline. Nice run and cutback by Harris. Or that was Riggs on that play. They're going back and forth with Harris and Riggs. First down and 10, and that is the 2-minute warning. We're 2 minutes away from victory. And great job here for Oregon. 752 yards for total offense. And they're getting very close to breaking the total yard record for Oregon. We'll see if they do it here in the last 2 minutes. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the Dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's go. 79 subs to go to get to 23,200. We just ended up breaking 23,000 subs a few days back, as well as 5.1 million views on the channel. Next goal will be 25,000 subs and 10 million views. And shout out to all the new subs that we've acquired, not only today, but in 2025, and as well as the ones back in the day as well. Appreciate you guys very, very much. Alabama and Tennessee, 23-13. Notre Dame up 21-13 on USC. 10-7 BYU up on Utah. And then Virginia coming back on Washington State, taking the lead with less than 2 minutes to go in the fourth. Big comeback there for Virginia. They showed it. We're close. I think it's within 50 yards or less, the record. You know, it's just under 800 yards total offense. And I think it said something like 770 something, you know, and we're getting close. $750 yards of total offense. Is that good? We have 752 total yards to 202 for them. They just broke 200, Jay. 752. And I think if we get 20 or 30 more yards, I don't know. We're at the 16-yard line, though, so I don't know where it's going to fall here, but they'll mention it again. See how many more yards we actually need to break this record of the most offensive yards in a game total. 777 is the record, 777. So I don't think we're going to be able to break that record. Or 752 total offense is tonight. And then the program record is 777 against what, Cal? So we don't have enough yards to be able to break the record here. Thomas, Harris, and doing a little bit of a spin move there and brought down by a few Scarlet Knights. Yeah, 750 is more than good. Yeah, I agree. And we got 140 and counting here in the fourth quarter. 56-10. Now, it would have been nice to be able to hold them to just 3, but again, when you got second, third string, fourth string, fifth string guys, you assume that, you know, people are going to make plays, and, you know, I think we can live with a 56-10 victory unless we get one more touchdown here before the game ends. 63-10 sounds even better. Kraken win 4-3 in OT. Great. I noticed it was 3-3, and they're just going to kneel it down there. Looks like they're just going to call this game at this point. Marine being in the building. What's good? Big win for the Kraken. Good for them. And they look like they could be a playoff team this year. You know, we'll see if the Blazers can hit the 8 seed, and let's see if the Kraken can end up making the playoffs. The West is competitive, but they're playing with a new kind of fire with a new coach this year. So 3rd down and 10, and one more kneel down, and that'll do it. Go Ducks. Tough loss for the Huskies against Michigan on the road in the Big House. Only scoring 7, but hopefully they'll be able to rebound in their season. And again, we'll be live tomorrow around 5-ish. You know, exact time, obviously, will be mentioned in the social media as we go into the ALCS game number 6 between the Mariners and the Blue Jays in Toronto. Go Ducks. Nice big win for the Kraken in OT. I love that. And final score, Oregon Ducks 56, Rutgers 10. Great job there by Oregon. And I appreciate all the people that came through to hang out here today, that liked, sub, donated, commented, shared. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. I know I will. I'll be paying attention to some extra football, obviously, here for the rest of the night. And then we will be locked in tomorrow for Logan Gilbert on the mound, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. It'll be at 5:03 his first pitch, so I will be live at maybe 4:55, about 8 minutes prior, and we got Logan Gilbert versus Trey, you savage. A rematch of Game 2 in Toronto, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very, very much. And I got one question for you. Well, you know, talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Final score, number 8 Oregon Ducks 56, Rutgers unranked 10, and we'll definitely take a 46-point win. Love you guys and appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for the ALCS game number 6 between the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Enjoy your Saturday night, and I appreciate you guys very much. Go Ducks, and I'm out. Gang.